The NFL Today on CBS Sports is presented by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide.
Welcome back, everyone. Right now, every team gets one more chance to set their lineups as we huddle up, presented by FanDuel. And as we get closer to kickoff between the Texans and the Dolphins, let's take you out live to Miami with our announcers, Spiro Ditas and Solomon Wilcots. Gentlemen.
All right, JB, thanks. Here in South Florida, overcast skies, temperatures in the mid-80s as we get you set for the Houston Texans and the Miami Dolphins. J.J. Watt coming onto the field last week under the weather in that victory in Nashville. Today, back to full strength as he leads his defense onto the turf here in Miami. And Dan Campbell, 1 week removed from his victory in his Dolphins debut, today makes his home debut as he leads the Dolphins here onto the field. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the NFL on CBS. Spiro Ditas alongside Solomon Wilcots. So Miami riding high off to that emotional victory in Campbell's coaching debut, and the Texans, Solomon, looking for a second straight win as they hope to take a step towards contention.
Yeah, Spiro, both teams want to come out and they want to play physical at the line of scrimmage, which means they want to run the ball and play dominant on the defensive side of the ball. And they're going to have to rely on their defensive stars, J.J. Watt and Ndamukong Suh. This is going to be a lot of fun, and we'll see who's the last team standing at the end of the day.
What a difference the coaching change made for the Dolphins, at least for one game. Look at the comparison, the average through their first 4 games compared to what they did last Sunday in Nashville. They put up 38 points as an offense, and the big difference, as Dan Campbell told us yesterday, keeping their quarterback Ryan Tannehill, Solomon, upright.
Yeah, last week the plan was to keep Ryan Tannehill clean and off the ground. Today, the message remains the same. Don't allow the opponent to hit our quarterback, and that means they got to come out and run the ball in a very physical, dominant way, something they did 1 week ago against the Tennessee Titans with Lamar Miller. They're going to pull the guard, Dallas Thomas, block down with the tight end, Deion Sims. They were physical at the point of attack. They got Lamar Miller to the second level, 180 yards rushing in this game. Then they were very creative, using Jarvis Landry on the reverse play. Look, a body on a body, creating rush lanes at the second level of the defense. And then watch the physical way he finishes off this run, breaking 3 tackles. They're going to have to be very dominant playing with that attitude today.
And now we huddle up with FanDuel and take a look at Lamar Miller.
Our running back Lamar Miller's 19 carries 1 week ago, more than doubled his per-game season average so far this year.
And Miller's projected FanDuel points today, 12.3. All right, meantime, Bill O'Brien's Houston Texans come in 2-4 after their victory last Sunday at Jacksonville. One late-breaking piece of news: their backup quarterback Ryan Mallett missed the team charter here yesterday, paid his own way, flew commercially, arrived last night here in Miami, and is active today for O'Brien and the Texans. The man who took his job a couple of weeks ago, Brian Hoyer, Solomon, has looked like a different quarterback the last couple of weeks.
I think he's come out. He's won over the coaches. He's won over his teammates in Houston. Even without a dominant run game, Hoyer has led a top-ranked passing offense. The entire offense has put up nearly 400 yards in each of their last 4 games, and he's been one of the top-rated quarterbacks over the last 3 weeks.
And the man who he has targeted the most, DeAndre Hopkins, career start, historic start, second most receptions and catches in the NFL through 6 games in 55 years. Hard to believe. And now tools for success presented by Home Depot.
Well, there's no better defensive player than J.J. Watt. He credits his teammates for allowing him to take calculated risk along that defensive line. The only player in NFL history with 2 seasons of 20 or more sacks. And then Cameron Wake is looking for an encore performance after posting 4 sacks last week against the Tennessee Titans. As for our keys, well, the Texans, they need their quarterback Brian Hoyer to play mistake-free football to win here on the road. And the Dolphins, they want to play fast and physical without crossing the line and drawing penalties.
The Miami Dolphins have never beaten the Houston Texans, 0-7 against their AFC rivals all time. We're moving closer to kickoff. You're watching the NFL on CBS. The AFC's reigning offensive player of the week, DeAndre Hopkins, has been a revelation till this point, and Cameron Wake selected as the AFC's defensive player of the week, that 4-sack performance last Sunday. Today's game being broadcast in Spanish. We're available using the SAP button on your television. The Kick next on CBS. Bill O'Brien and the Houston Texans arrive here in Miami, just one game off the pace. Hard to believe. 2-4. Jacksonville, a winner earlier today. Game in London that has just gone final as they defeated the Buffalo Bills 34-31. What a moment for Dan Campbell. Now the youngest head coach in the NFL on an interim basis since taking over a couple of weeks ago for Joe Philbin. As you see where Miami sits right now in the basement of the AFC East. Spiro Ditas, Salman Wilcots, rest of our CBS crew. Interesting two teams, Salman, that have underachieved to this point. Both road wins last week. Which team validates what they did 7 days ago?
Well, I think that's the key. They're going to come armed with their defensive stars. J.J. Watt for the Houston Texans, and Ndamukong Suh and Cameron Wake for the Miami Dolphins. The goal is going to be to shut down the opponent's running game and then put pressure on the quarterback.
Miami winning the toss, electing to defer, and so the Texans will receive the rookie kicker Andrew Franks on to put it away, and Keith Mumphrey, one of the wide receivers for Bill O'Brien, will take it on a bounce from just outside his end zone. He has a couple of seams across the 30 to 35, out of bounds just past the 40. Excellent return for Mumphrey of 43 yards. And that brings us to Brian Hoyer. You see his numbers. Took the job away from Ryan Mallett a couple of weeks ago in Indianapolis. Mallett pulling himself. Broke the cardinal rule, never take yourself out of a game, and Hoyer's never looked back.
Yeah, he never heard of the story of Wally Pipp, right? Gave birth to Lou Garrett, and the rest is history.
Hoyer last Sunday was excellent. 36 pass attempts, 15 of which were thrown in the direction of DeAndre Hopkins, the budding superstar. 1st and 10. Hoyer's going to throw, has a man up the seam. It is Hopkins, no surprise there. Overthrew him as Hoyer was under heavy duress. All kinds of movement today with some injuries. Brandon Brooks, a scratch, out with a toe injury. Derek Newton moving over to that right guard position. Backs and receivers, we've been talking about DeAndre Hopkins. 4 straight games of 100 yards receiving to tie a franchise record. A look, Salman, at Ndamukong Suh.
Yeah, Ndamukong Suh means business. And guess what? Dan Campbell told us. We sat down, we talked, I listened, and now we're going to give him ownership of how this defense plays. And you can see they're coming out with that energy we saw from them 1 week ago.
Arian Foster blowing up in the backfield, a loss of 2. Cameron Wake, all 4 of his sacks last week came in the second quarter of that game. Hard to believe. Cole Messi entering the day second in tackles on the team, and Jamar Taylor today making the start as Bryce McCain is out with a sprained knee.
Already 3rd and long. This is what Brian Hoyer told us yesterday, the situation they want to avoid.
Hoyer, quick strike, batted down by Wake. And so the trend continues for the Texans, one of 2 teams in the league that has not scored a point on their opening drive at all this season.
Yeah, it's going to be about which defensive line can dominate, get penetration, and put pressure on the opposing quarterback, as we said. And we know the Dolphins are well armed to do that. They're now starting to play with the intensity and energy needed to play at a high level.
A defense that has been so maligned here. Kevin Coyle, the defensive coordinator, fired just days after Joe Philbin was sent to the exits here, as Jarvis Landry has nowhere to go, dumped down after a very minimal return of 7. And so not ideal field position for Ryan Tannehill, who's thrown multiple picks in each of his last 3 games. But finally last Sunday, Salman started to look like the Tannehill they expected at the start of the year.
Yeah, and he's going to have his work cut out today. Remember, in his first career start, going up against J.J. Watt and these Houston Texans. Down in Houston, J.J. Watt batted a number of his balls. A couple of them were intercepted. It was a miserable day for Tannehill. Turned out to launch a career, a great one, in J.J. Watt.
Tannehill has worked the majority of his snaps this season from the gun. On 1st and 10, quick strike. That's Lamar Miller out of the backfield, tackled right after the catch by Brian Cushing, the 7th-year linebacker out of USC. Billy Turner making his 2nd straight start at that right guard position, taking Jameel Douglas's spot. Jarvis Landry shot out of the gates, but his production has slipped a bit over the last couple of weeks. Tannehill said that they have made it a point to get Landry more involved here beginning this afternoon against the Texans. 2nd and 9 from the 13. Another quick strike. This is Landry, far side of the field. Landry so dangerous in the flat, able to break a tackle and work his way close to that first down marker for Miami. Defensive starters, J.J. Watt headlines this group, 2-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year, but no sacks over the last 2 games. Hasn't gone 3 straight without a sack since 2013. Jadeveon Clowney back, missed last week's game with an ankle injury. Only the 10th game of his career, by the way, with all the games that he's missed. First down on the Landry catch and run, so 1st and 10 just outside the 20. Keep it on the ground. Good burst. Lamar Miller crosses the 35. And another first down run as Miller picks up 13.
Yeah, they like to come with this reverse action. What it does, it holds the backside of the defense. See, they're able to split it. And you can see Jadeveon Clowney finally gets a hand on him, but he was forced to hold on that reverse just in case they gave the ball to Kenny Steele. So they've been very creative, have the Miami Dolphins, in terms of their ability to run the ball. Last week they ran it on 7 of their first 11 plays, and now they're getting it going here today.
You see the run play breakdown in the NFL. 1st and 10. Look at Landry making guys miss. Little juke step to the 40. All the talk, Solomon, about how they went back to the running game. We spoke with Dan Campbell, talked to Ryan Tannehill, and said, look, this is how we've wanted to play all season, but they had issues with falling behind early in games. Last week, the first time they were able to stick to the run. Yeah, and Dan Campbell doesn't want to get away from it. Even on these short throws to Jarvis Landry, they look at those essentially as a run play. Getting the ball on the perimeter, they're going to get the ball in his hands a lot. 2nd and 5. Penalty marker thrown. Miller's going to run for the first down. We'll see what the call is. One out of bounds by A.J. Bouye. On an 8-yard run by Miller as we await the call from our referee, John Hussey.
Offsides, number 90 defense. That penalty is declined. Result of the play is a first down.
It's against Clowney. Hard to believe, Solomon, the kid who they took 1st overall last year, has only played in 10 games so far in his career. But we asked Bill O'Brien about where Clowney is in his development, and he said he's real close. He's played very well.
Yeah, when you put the tape on, there are moments where Jadeveon Clowney really flashes, and I think he's going to be a special player in this league. He just needs more experience, more opportunities, and he's got to be able to stay healthy to stay on the field, and he can be an impact player.
That's Jarvis Landry in motion behind the line of scrimmage. 1st and 10 with a crossing route over the middle. It's Rashard Matthews. Matthews with plenty of real estate into the end zone for the Dolphins touchdown. 53 yards from Ryan Tannehill.
Well, he's working one-on-one against the rookie. This is against Kevin Johnson. And it's just a real nice throw. This is what they want. The quick slant route's going to come here, and then the safety doesn't help. They have a single high safety, and you've got to be able to at least make the tackle here. But you can see defenders run into one another. And how about Matthews? He's really been a breakout player for this offense. They've struggled at times, but he has been one of their most consistent players.
4th touchdown catch of the season for Matthews, who was disgruntled in the offseason. That story of him driving to the team facility the night of the draft after he learned that they had selected Devontae Parker out of Louisville. Asked for a trade, denied, and he enters the day as their team leader in receiving yards and touchdowns as he builds on those numbers. 53 yards on a catch and run from Tannehill on CBS. Longest pass of the season completed by Ryan Tannehill as Rashard Matthews goes 53 yards for his 4th receiving touchdown of the season. Zami, we knew that secondary for the Texans is banged up. Kevin Johnson, the rookie, making the start as Kareem Jackson out today due to injury. Tannehill attacking that secondary right at the start as Franks booms that kick through the end zone. 7-0 Miami. You're watching the NFL on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest. Transparency. Low fares, nothing to hide. McDonald's, now serving all-day breakfast. And by Kelley Blue Book. Find out what you should pay for your next new car at KBB.com.
Oh, what a whirlwind couple of weeks it's been for Dan Campbell, the 39-year-old interim head coach of the Dolphins. The question mark they were asking this week after the emotional win, was this success sustainable? So far, a good start. What a career he had. Solid tight end, 4 different teams. Started his career in 1999. You see one of 9 current head coaches who have played in the NFL. And Sama, not hard to see why his players say he's so easy to relate to. You sit across the table from him, he looks like he can still strap it on and play. This is Arian Foster on first down, a minimal pickup as he crosses the 20.
Yeah, Dan Campbell, I love the fact that he's really tried to keep it simple. What he wanted to do with his players, infuse the practice and preparation with competition. One-on-one competition while the rest of the team watches. And he said it really has made a difference in terms of their attitude, their intensity, and their overall physicality. Campbell has watched a good start for both his offensive and defensive units till this point. As Hoyer works under center on 2nd and 9. The give to Foster, and that Miami defensive front able to get another push. Cohen Misi lead the charge. Derek Shelby right behind him. This team is now getting after it. They play fast and physical on the defensive side of the ball. Last week, they came out and Rashad Jones, the starting safety, he delivered a lick that really galvanized this team. Look at this. It was clean. They walked the line. It's a tight line. They don't want to draw penalties, but he talked about it that, Dan Campbell has really asked them to play fast, free, and physical, and it's made a huge difference with just the way they're playing on both sides of the ball.
3rd and 13. Hoyer's going to sling it far side of the field. It's incomplete. Intended for the rookie out of Arizona State, Jalen Strong. Jamar Taylor making his 4th career start today for Bryce McCain on the coverage.
And there you see Taylor making a play. And this is some of the energy, the tempo that we're witnessing here today. Spiro, you and I were here for their home opener against Buffalo. That's not what we saw. We saw a team that was very lethargic, that was just kind of going through the paces. Right now, they're playing up in the bit with great energy and intensity.
Shane Leckler, one of Dan Campbell's ex-roommates at Texas A&M, on for his first punt. It goes 55 yards, 7-0 Miami. The wait is over. The world premiere of Supergirl just one day away. Be sure to see what everyone will be talking about. Supergirl premieres tomorrow after a new Big Bang Theory, only CBS. Our Supergirl here in Miami, slightly more buff, shall we say. Eclectic looking crowd here in Miami. 1st and 10, 7-0 Dolphins. 1st and 10, that's Lamar Miller. So far, they have kept Tannehill in rhythm, Solomon, those quick passes to his targets.
Yeah, getting the ball out very quickly, under 2 seconds, and throwing on the perimeter of the defense where J.J. Watt can't bat down those balls. Getting it to the outside, getting rid of it quickly, under 2 seconds, allowing the playmakers to create yards after the catch. What did Dan Campbell tell us yesterday? I do not want my quarterback getting his jersey dirty in the first quarter. No hits on our quarterback early.
So far has gotten his wish. 2nd and 10 with a quick screen pass. This is Landry. Landry breaking a number of tackles already on his first couple of catches. Had a 1st down reception on their first drive and is right at the marker this time as he picks up 9+.
You can't help but like Jarvis Landry. Look at this. I mean, he's like a running back, but yet he's a receiver, and he creates yards after the catch. He breaks tackles. We saw him do that on that reverse run 1 week ago. He said that at LSU he learned to play just about every single position, and they're using him because he can play a number of different positions on this offense.
3rd and short. This is Jonas Gray. Needed the 38 for the first down. I don't believe he got it. As that Houston defense not fooled. J.J. Watt among the tacklers. And it looks like the Chains crew will come onto the field.
J.J. Watt made an excellent play there. Well, he plays hard. He practiced hard. Take a look at this. Look how he beats and defeats the block, spins out of it to make that tackle. And you can see Brian Cushing getting at the feet of the running back as well.
All right, so the Chains crew will not come onto the field. Officials say he was short. So on 4th down, the punt team will come onto the field. Matt Darr, their rookie punter out of Tennessee, will punt for the first time today. And Keith Mumphrey standing back deep inside his own 10. Spiraling kick takes a Dolphins bounce, and then it's down just inside the 10. So a 53-yard punt. 7-0 Miami on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the Lexus IS200 Turbo and IS300 all-wheel drive. And by Bud Light. Stay in the game and drink responsibly.
Oh, J.J. Watt making a young kid's day here in Miami. We asked Watt yesterday what motivates him to play such a high emotional level, and he paused and he said every week he envisions that someone is in the stadium that has never watched him play, and said that's all he needs to get himself ready to go every Sunday. What a career he's had. There's a megastar in the NFL. That first down pass intended for Hopkins is incomplete, and so far Hoyer has been unable to connect with his favorite target.
Yeah, and so far he's got to really get going. He's got to get something going. He's trying to get it to his number 1 target. Remember, DeAndre Hopkins, the number 1 targeted receiver in the National Football League. He averages 11 targets a game. Where they're trying to get the ball in his hand, he has produced. Now you know he's going to draw a lot of attention today from this Dolphins defense.
Hoyer on 2nd and 10 goes through his reads and completes to Foster over the middle. This is their 3rd offensive possession. They've gone 3 and out twice, as they'll face a 3rd and 3 coming up.
The Dolphins come in, they understand. And Bill O'Brien told us they're going to try to take away Arian Foster. They're going to try to take away DeAndre Hopkins. But those 2 players have been productive. And, you know, Arian Foster continues to just get better after suffering that groin injury during the preseason. He looked good in last week's game.
Hoyer on 3rd and 3, airs it out near side of the field, incomplete. Appeared to be some inadvertent contact as Hopkins got tangled up with Brent Grimes, who, by the way, is also playing banged up today. Still not full strength after he sprained the knee against the Jets back in week 4 before that bye.
Grimes just did a good job of cutting him off. Look at that. Grimes says, I'm not ready to run with him, but if I can fall down in front of him, that'll slow him up enough to keep him from getting to that pass from Hoyer.
Second punt for Leckler, the 6-time All-Pro. As this good start continues for Miami's defense. Short kick from Leckler, 33 yards. Officially 7-0 Miami. You're watching the NFL on CBS.
You are watching the NFL on CBS, home of Super Bowl 50.
Week 7 continues later today on Fox. Then tonight, Sunday Night Football on NBC. Tomorrow, ESPN with Monday Night Football, the Ravens and the Arizona Cardinals in a game that'll kick just after 8:30 Eastern Time. J.J. Watt talked about his illness last week, was pumping himself full of meds to play. Today, full strength Salmon and the Joes.
Yeah, making his presence known, getting up and trying to distract Ryan Tannehill, getting involved in terms of the run defense. He can get off blocks with that athleticism as well as any in the game. When heard about the Dolphins' new approach and their physicality in terms of how they want to play, he said they got a new coach who's running a toughness campaign. He said, but we'll give it back to him. We'll fight power with power. I love the way that he was able to articulate himself in our meetings.
First and 10. Again, excellent field position as Tannehill has a short field. Guns it. Far side is Landry, making guys miss. Landry still on his feet, inside the 30. Plenty of open grass in front of him. Crosses the 10, 5, touchdown! Magical play from Landry. 50 yards on the catch and run.
Jarvis Landry is not to be messed with. This is a guy that is playing with great energy and great tempo. And he's matched up against the safety. You're going to see him come here, and then he's going to run out. And 29, this is going to be Andre Howe. He can't stay with him. And there's the separation. He's not going to go out of bounds. We talked about his determination, Spiro, at the top of the game. And look at it. He's just eluding tacklers. He's going to find his way to the end zone, trying to give this offense some kind of spark, some kind of big play. We didn't think the emotion from last week could carry over to this week in terms of what Dan Campbell has instilled in his team. But I think the players have caught that fire, and the coach is spread it. He said, I'm going to give them the spark, but they have to go out and maintain it.
Whatever Dan Campbell is selling to this point, they're buying. Longest reception in the career of Jarvis Landry, first touchdown catch of the season, and the 6th of his 2-year career. Landry, in our visit with him, as the officials now are looking to see if he stepped out of bounds on the initial move. Call on the field is a touchdown, and this is what they're looking at right there from that vantage point. Appeared to be well in bounds. 13-0 Dolphins on CBS.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. Touchdown.
Well, they'll put that on Jarvis Landry's early career highlight tape. What a start for he and this Miami offense.
What did Ryan Tannehill tell us about Jarvis Landry? He was talking about all of his receivers, kind of giving us an evaluation. He said when he got to Jarvis Landry, he's just a football player. He can do anything that you need a football player to do. Such versatility, and you love the tenacity in which he plays.
Well, before today, the last pass play for Miami of 50-plus yards was last December the 14th. They've had 2 of them so far, and we're still in the first quarter.
And it was just a nice little out route, and he was able to stick that foot in the ground and elude the defender. And once you get him going, we showed him on a reverse play last week where he ran with the same kind of determination. They couldn't get him on the ground until he got into the end zone, and it's paid here again today.
And suddenly the skies have opened up here in Miami, starting to rain. But they're having a good old time as the Dolphins dominant till this point. And Dan Campbell, who wears his emotions on his sleeve, feeling awfully good about this Dolphins team that he has seen over the last 5 quarters.
Well, he knows how the game is supposed to be played. The game is supposed to be played with emotion. It allows you to take your game and your physicality to the next level. As even now the rain's coming and the fans are leading. They want to stay dry. As good as their team is playing here, Tannehill 2 touchdown passes already in the first quarter. Dan Campbell's got his team fired up. The fans are getting wet.
Just another day in Miami. Wild weather patterns in this part of the country. And it has the feel of a party at this point for the home team. And Salmon, what a difference. We walked out of this stadium at the end of that Week 3 game, their home opener against Buffalo, a game in which they were down at halftime 27-0. The place was dead, the team lethargic. What a difference from that day to where we stand right now.
And Campbell talked about it. He says, you can compete and have fun. You can improve and still have fun. This is a game, and players should enjoy it. He said, I wanted to put the fun back in football. We made it competitive in our practices, one-on-one, man-on-man, and each guy had to prove himself in front of his teammates. I just thought he did a wonderful job of sort of reinvigorating his players and allowing them to go out and feel what it felt like to have fun playing football again.
It hasn't been fun so far for the Texans. You see their first 3 possessions. Chris Polk onto the field, lone setback behind Hoyer. And we started the game just 1 of 6 passing. This is Polk, released by Philadelphia, a guy that O'Brien really likes. There's such a difference in the weather now, Salmon. What was the worst downpour you ever played in, and how does this affect now the offense with Hoyer?
Well, there's been a lot of those moments where the weather can affect the way that the quarterback handles the football, the way the running backs handle the football, and can the receivers haul it in? Those passes that are just on the fingertip now, the ones that you would haul in are now going to skirt right off the hands of a potential receiver.
2nd and 10, and Polk is blown up. And it really puts the Texans in a tough spot here. Down 2 touchdowns, obviously needing the pass game, but now difficult to do that in the rain.
Yeah, you also need the run game. I don't think you can get away from it, even though you're down 14-0. But how about this? Dominican Sue, other players getting penetration into that backfield. I think the key is, as we said before, shut down the other team's run game and then put pressure on the quarterback. You force him into 3rd and long, now you get to pass rush.
Hoyer from the gun on 3rd and 14. Rolls out, and that pass incomplete. Keith Mumphrey, the rookie, only receiver in the vicinity. And that Miami secondary without Bryce McCain so far is so good.
Well, you asked, how does the weather affect things?
Illegal use of the hands. Hands to the face, number 74 on the offense. That penalty is declined. 4th down.
Now you ask how weather affects things. Hoyer missed a receiver, was wide open. Keith Mumphrey was wide open on that play. Now they're going to go 3 and out for the 4th consecutive possession.
Well, the Texans team that was suddenly confident after their lopsided victory last Sunday at Jacksonville, already down 2 touchdowns and playing on their heels, to say the least. That is Landry. Again, we'll give Tannehill a short field, 36 yards on the punt. Shane Leckler has struggled, 9 yards on the return from Landry. Tonight on 60 Minutes, the first and only look inside the U.S. air war against ISIS, plus an interview with Vice President Biden, only on 60 Minutes tonight. Rainy Miami, Spiro Ditas, Salmon Wilcots, rest of our CBS crew. So far, these Texans fans that have made the trip haven't had much to cheer about. Tannehill pitching a perfect game till this point.
6 for 6 so far. The Houston Texans -1 yard total offense. And I don't care how good their defense is, if their offense can't pitch in and play more complementary football, it could be a long day for the Houston Texans.
1st and 10 as they begin inside Texans territory. It's Miller, a burst down to the 20, downhill to the 15-yard line. Jonathan Joseph finally able to bring him down as they continue to gash this defense.
Well, they're able to pull the guard. Look at number 63, Dallas Thomas. He's digging them out. And then Miller knows how to run behind that kick-out block. This is the power run game that Dan Campbell has gotten back to. And Lamar Miller has responded. He's playing better. I think the fact that their tight end, Deion Sims, is back in, number 80, a position that their head coach, Dan Campbell, once played. Well, they're cranking it up and getting loaded up at the line of scrimmage.
29 yards on the run from Miller. Here he is again. as he inches closer to the 13, a pickup of 3. We mentioned earlier, Miller had 19 carries in that win last week. That more than doubled his season average. And again, you don't fall behind early, you can stick to the run game, and it makes all the difference for this offense.
I think it makes a difference, too. We talked about Deion Sims being healthy. Remember, they had lost left tackle Brandon Albert for a spell there. Now he's back in the lineup. He's healthy on that offensive line. So the offensive line's playing better. I think they have bigger bodies that can change the line of scrimmage to get the running back to the next level of the defense.
Landry in motion, 2nd and 7. Miller moving the pile close to the 10. Miller, the former 4th-round pick in 2012. Rushed for just over 1,000 yards last season, 5th best in the AFC. Dolphins have not had a running back rush for 1,000 yards in consecutive seasons since Ricky Williams did it in 2002 and then again in 2003.
You see Lamar Miller, his hands are wet. He wants a towel to get them dried off. Very smart. If you're going to handle the ball, you got to make sure that you can possess it. Can't risk a turnover. Now, if you're Houston, you got to find a way to come up with a stop here.
Wayne has eased up a bit, still coming down. This is 3rd and 4. Tannehill looks right, throws over the middle. It's Landry, caught, and he is into the end zone for his 2nd touchdown. 10 yards from Tannehill, and Miami pouring it on here in the 1st.
Well, they run a crossing route all the way across the field, and they sort of screen the defender off Jarvis Landry. And I think it's a perfect. You see, he's going to be here, but then watch the receivers all come here as Landry comes across, and then he's going to clear away from the defender. Kenny Stills just provided enough of the screen to give him the edge to beat Kevin Johnson for the touchdown. Great play design. Dan Campbell loves it.
You just wonder where this offense was for Miami over the first 4 weeks of the season. 3rd touchdown pass thrown in a quarter by Tannehill, and a 2nd to that man, Jarvis Landry. Did not have a receiving touchdown before today, did the 2nd year Landry. He's got 2 of them in the quarter as Andrew Franks is good on his point after.
This Houston Texans secondary, they entered today's game allowing the 4th highest total of touchdown passes. They've already given up 3 touchdown passes today.
Kareem Jackson, one of their starting quarters, out today due to injury. Kevin Johnson, whom Solomon just mentioned, making the start in his place. Quentin Demps is banged up and active, but so far, all kinds of issues for J.J. Watt and that defense. And meantime, Jarvis Landry, Solomon, the catalyst for this Dolphins offense.
He's made some plays. There's no doubt about it. He's caught 5 passes so far in this game. Found his way to the end zone twice. His ability to create yards after the catch. He said playing at LSU for offensive coordinator Cam Cameron taught both he and Odell Beckham Jr. every single position, whether it was H, F, X, Y, or Z. Said we can line up anywhere. We just want to be able to get the ball in our hands. Doesn't have the best speed. He does have great quickness, but I think more than anything, he's got tenacity, he's got intensity. He's a competitor.
Andrew Franks on to boot it away. That is Mumphrey again, unable to play it. On Tuesday, the Dolphins partnered with United Way and Special Olympics to host a hometown huddle event. Over 100 students in the 1st and 8th grades from Dade and Broward County schools participated. The event spread the Dolphins' Dolphin message of education, physical fitness, and positive choices. As this franchise has had incredible ties to this community for so many years, finally trying to give their fans something to feel good about, as they have blitzed the Texans with this uppercut punch in this 1st quarter. You see the total yards discrepancy at the top of your screen. That first down pass from Hoyer, intended for Foster. Jenkins on the coverage, and this offense saw him at about as bad as you can expect so far.
And I know the Miami Dolphins have improved in the intensity and attitude and all those things we talked about, but if you're the Houston Texans, you got to put up a fight. And right now, Brian Hoyer, you've got to lead this offense. You have playmakers like DeAndre Hopkins around you. You have an Arian Foster. You've got to be able to get it going. Right now, Brian Hoyer, 1 for 8 for 7 yards here in the first quarter.
Hand off to Foster. Foster still trying to get his way to full strength. It's a devastating groin injury in August. Tore the groin, the muscle off the bone completely. Such a devastating loss for an offense that is so reliant on him. But last week saw him in the best that he's looked in probably a year.
They're surprised at how quickly he came back from that injury. And I thought when I put the tape on last week, he looked really good. But that season low, our career low average, worse than the National Football League, he's much better than that.
His career low, 4.1 this year, and nearly just 2 yards per carry. That's Garrett Graham, one of their backup tight ends. To go off of his fingertips, and they have not helped Hoyer till this point. They'll punt.
Well, they need this play from Garrett Graham. Brian Hoyer needs Graham to make that catch. Put the ball right on him. It is somewhat wet down there. We saw the rain come down. The rain has stopped. I'd imagine the ball's wet, the ground's wet, but you got to make a play for your quarterback.
5 possessions, 5 3-and-outs for Hoyer in this offense. Shane Leckler on to punt. Look at Landry. How many tackles has he broken to this point? Covering an awful lot of real estate, but he's going backwards. Landry trying to find a seam and brought down, boy, may have run about 70 yards on that play, it seemed like, but loses 8 as it is a 53-yard punt officially. Now, we talked about Dan Campbell emphasizing toughness and competitiveness. This was Wednesday's practice. He brought all the players together in midfield, had the younger guys in the middle of a huddle surrounded by the vets. It was a rugby-style scrum where the players on the inside had to escape and get past the veterans on the outside, something you don't see very often
anymore. They had to
anymore.
fight their way out. I mean, it's like, the old bull and the young bull. And he just wanted the guys to be competitive, get used to mixing it up and being physical every single day at practice so that when you get into a game on Sunday, it becomes easy.
This is Miller on 1st and 10, bounces to the outside and upended as he gets nearly to the 25. Kevin Johnson, the rookie cornerback, on the tackle. We asked Campbell about some of the coaches he's played for and coached with. He mentioned Bill Parcells. He says Parcells, when he was in Dallas, used to line up the entire team, 26 guys down the middle of the field, one-on-one, and they would just ram into each other in those one-on-one drills until they were sore.
I asked him, I said, you knew who the tough guys were, right? He said, there's no doubt the entire team was tough. And, those Parcells teams, they weren't really reliant on quarterback play as much as they were just on being physical teams that ran the ball and played great defense.
2nd and 2, Tannehill from the gun. Little drop play action to Miller. Straight up the gut, crosses the 30. First down run. As this offense continues to get anything it wants with 62 seconds left in the quarter.
No, they've come out to compete. They want to win, but they know they got to compete to do so.
Interesting formation on this 1st and 10 play. Texans appear to be fooled, but they are able to converge on Tannehill as the Dolphins will face a 2nd down coming up. Brandon Dunn out of Louisville on the tackle.
Jadeveon Clowney is the one who disrupted this play. He's going to be here. Watch him just step right in that passing lane. Look, he's going to intercept it, and that's what caused Tannehill to pull it down and then try to run with the ball. But, Bill O'Brien talked about Jadeveon Clowney. He said he's a bright player. He studies really hard. He's more instinctive than you would believe, and you saw it on that play.
Tannehill slings it near side. Still has not had an incompletion to this point. He's 8 of his first 8. That's Matthews, who had the 53-yard touchdown catch earlier. Picks up 10 and another Miami first down to take us to the end of the quarter. 21-0. Dolphins will return to Miami after these messages. You're watching the NFL on CBS, home of Super Bowl 50. Well, all the confidence that Brian Hoyer and this Houston offense had generated after the win last Sunday, an afterthought, quickly forgotten until this point. There's Ryan Mallett, and just an interesting little backstory. Mallett, as we told you at the top of the show, missed the team charter here yesterday, paid his way here, flew commercially, arrived last night, is in uniform, and is active. And, Solomon, you're down 3 touchdowns. Bill O'Brien has had a very quick hook, whether it's been Hoyer, whether it's been Mallett. But now with the situation involving Ryan Mallett, you wonder what's going through his mind. It appears it's Hoyer's show.
Yeah, Hoyer is off to a slow start. This is typically a case where maybe Bill O'Brien would go to the next quarterback. But given the fact that the guy couldn't set his watch in time to make his flight, you have to wonder even if his head is in the game, if he's ready to play. So maybe O'Brien is more inclined to stay with Hoyer, where in normal cases he would go to Ryan Mallett.
2nd and 8. And fake the end around to Landry. Little screen pass. This is Miller. A lot of open press. Miller's still going. 15-10, and he's into the end zone.
Wow. That looked way too easy. They were able to outflank the defense, and for Lamar Miller, he's never had an easier touchdown in his life. It's a well-designed play, well blocked. Kenny Stills, the receiver, he's going to throw a nice block as well. Now, see, you're going to see him. He's going to be right here, but watch him just come right out of the backfield. He'll catch it. Nice screen play, and then Kenny Stills down the field. He gets a block. Look, he doesn't get touched from there. Excellent blocking downfield.
54 yards on the catch and run. 4th touchdown pass thrown by Ryan Tannehill, and it goes from bad to worse for the Houston Texans. 28-0 as we play in the opening minute in the second quarter. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Well, this was the conversation between Bill O'Brien and his defensive coordinator, Romeo Crennel, during that last break. Romeo, a very proud football man, has been coaching some of the best defenses in this league for a long time. But so far, this hasn't been their day. 28-0. As this defense has been victimized by the big play, Solomon, to say the least.
Yeah, right now, this defense couldn't stop a nosebleed. They've allowed 4 touchdowns on 5 possessions for the Miami Dolphins. They've allowed 3 plays of 50 yards or more. Whether it's Rashard Matthews, whether it's Jarvis Landry, whether it's Lamar Miller. They're taking it to the house. Poor tackling, and really just a lack of hustle by this Houston Texans defense right now. Romeo Crennel's got to get his guys together. They got to find a way to improve their play.
3 of those 4 Tannehill touchdown passes have come of 50 or more yards. 1st and 10. Here's Hoyer. Still looking for their first down at this half. Hard to believe that pass.
And now he's down.
Incomplete. Hoyer kind of clutching at his right throwing shoulder. Derek Shelby was the man giving chase.
Shelby planted Hoyer into the ground. Figured if I'm going to run this way, someone's getting hit. And to see him plant that right shoulder into the ground, never a good thing for a quarterback. And Hoyer remains in the huddle. Mallett's waiting. Right now, Hoyer's 1 of 10, 7 yards passing on the day.
Zero yards of total offense for the Texans. So this point that was deflected and intercepted. Rashad Jones into the end zone for the pick 6. Second pick 6 for Jones in as many weeks.
Are you kidding me? It's Murphy's Law. What can go wrong has gone wrong. Look, Tight end just pops this one up. Rashad Jones says, thank you. I'll take it. Runs it in for a touchdown. And that back flip. I'm sure Dan Campbell's going to say, we got to be careful of doing that.
That was C.J. Fedorowicz, the tight end. And look, Hoyer hasn't been very good, but we have seen multiple drops, Solomon, from his receivers in this first half. And that one comes back to haunt them. 23 yards on the pick six by Jones. What a wild league this is. A Miami team that appeared dead in the water a couple of weeks ago. Suddenly up 35-0 as they look for their second win in as many weeks.
NFL on CBS is sponsored by Verizon. Watch live primetime games with NFL Mobile only on Verizon. Charles Schwab. Own your tomorrow. And by Acura, the leading automotive brand in safety performance.
Well, the maintenance crew has been busy here. The University of Miami played against Clemson here yesterday. We're blown out 58-0. Quickly got this stadium turned around. And this time the home team is on the better end of a blowout till this point. 35-0. 14 points for the Dolphins in the last 14 seconds. Here's Keith Mumphrey. Will play it. Crosses the 15. Past the 20 and brought down at the 23. 2 pick sixes for Rashad Jones in the last 2 weeks.
Rashad Jones is, I think, one of the best safeties you probably never heard of. Makes big-time plays. He's a big-time hitter, and he talked about it. I'm not as vocal, but he's been doing these back flips every time he gets into the end zone. He was awarded this gift from Fedorowicz. He's able to get it into the house, and there's that back flip again. I'm sure Campbell's going to talk to him about that because you need Rashad Jones on the field healthy doing what he does best.
Here is Foster. Little juke step, picking up some yardage as he crosses the 25. We talked to Rashad Jones yesterday about Kevin Coyle, their defensive coordinator, who was fired a couple of weeks ago. Jones was very close to him, called him Pops, and said that he wants to finish the season strong, and still thinking about his defensive coordinator at this point.
Yeah, Kevin Coyle, he told him that, hey, here's the guy. Here's the guy that just really kind of called me in and talked to me about being a really good player.
Hoyer has it deflected out of his hands. It's fumbled, and Hoyer falls on the football just past the 25 as they recover at the 26. Lou Anarumo, you saw on the sideline, the new defensive coordinator after the change, and there's Bill O'Brien. There's Anarumo on the Miami side, part of the coaching shakeup here, Solomon, over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, he's the former defensive back coach, and he had coached Rashad Jones in that group, and they needed to make some changes. They now have the spark they were looking for, but Kevin Coyle is still remembered by many of these defensive players. Rashad Jones is just one of many.
Third and 7. Hoyer's pass behind his target made Washington. And once again, the Texans will punt.
This defense has been really tough on Hoyer. They're getting after it. The defensive line's getting after it. Tight coverage on the back end. Anarumo, he's doing a really good job of just coordinating this defense. Rashad Jones told us all he's done is made the calls more clear, more simple so we can play fast.
Texans still without a first down as Landry will play it just inside his own 25. Minimal return, 53-yard punt from Leckler. All Miami on CBS. Two weeks, two top teams. The Dolphins taking on Tom Brady and the Patriots on CBS and NFL Network. And then the Browns and the unbeaten Bengals on NFL Network. What a great start for Cincinnati. Bye week to celebrate their incredible 6-0 start. As you see Brian Hoyer on that Houston sideline, No one could have imagined a nightmare start like this. Sam down 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, this Houston Texans football team, they got to get it going. The defense has got to be able to recognize what Miami is doing. All they're doing is a bunch of bubble screens, quick passing from Ryan Tannehill, but yet they're not tackling. They're able to turn those short gains into long runs and find their way into the end zone.
Little draw play to Miller. Sam, is just such a crazy league. A couple of weeks ago, coaching change here, disastrous home opener against the Bills in Week 3. Suddenly, if they can put the finishing touches, get a second straight win, a Miami team that was a trendy pick in the preseason, suddenly back in contention.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. And if you're Bill O'Brien, you look at the AFC South, no one's running away with that division either. But,
that's right.
These teams got to wake up. You're right. From week to week, we're getting different personalities from some of these teams.
It's Landry in motion. Tannehill on 2nd and 9. Throwing on the run, completes. That's Rashard Matthews just inside the 40. 12 yards and a Miami first down.
A huge difference for Ryan Tannehill. He talked about how close he was to head coach Joe Philbin, who's been let go. He says, look, we didn't get it done. We weren't productive. Change was needed. And I think what Bill Lazor has done, he's allowed him to get on the move, get rid of the ball, get the ball out of his hands quickly. But obviously the improvement of the run game is giving him much greater rhythm within the offense.
You saw the brilliant passing chart so far from Tannehill. 10 of his first 10. 3 of his 4 touchdown passes have been from 50-plus yards. Missed tackle, it appeared to be from J.J. Watt. As Miller makes him pay for it, picks up 7.
Yeah, we talked about Espiro, missed tackles. But you've got to be able to get there. There's Vince Wilfork. He's there. There were several guys who missed him. J.J. Watt's going to play hard. He's going to hustle. But these guys now, they've got to play better as a group and not just rely on 1 or 2 guys to make the plays.
Miller gets a blow. Damian Williams, the second-year running back out of Oklahoma, onto the field. This is Landry. Little end-around action. Gets to the outside. Right at the first down marker, John Simon, the third-year linebacker out of Ohio State, able to run him out of bounds, and the officials say first down Miami.
We told you, Jarvis Landry, he's just like a running back. They're going to get him involved in the run game. Simon's clawing at him, trying to get him out of bounds. And Landry refuses to be denied the opportunity to pick up the first down. Look at that. 12 first downs on the day for the Dolphins. The anemic Houston Texans offense, they've got nothing done today.
Total yards, 300 for the Dolphins, 3 for the Texans. First and 10. Play action from Tannehill. Nice block at the end to spring him loose. And Tannehill nowhere to throw but out of bounds. And that his first incompletion. There's a penalty marker thrown in the Houston secondary. It comes at the 9:36 mark of the second quarter.
Illegal contact. Defense number 29. 5-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
And that's been the kind of day we've seen so far from Houston. Andre Howell on the penalty.
Yeah, you're going to see Tannehill's going to roll out to his left. There's a peel back block right there by number 34, Damian Williams. The penalty on Howell happened way down the field, clear on the backside. Sometimes I don't know if it's really an obstruction. Did the quarterback have a chance to throw the ball to the receiver?
That's Miller getting to the outside. I think that's a question that a lot of fans have been asking with all the penalties. A game that for a lot of people has become over-officiated in some ways. So with the penalty, that Tannehill incompletion negated, so he's still perfect at 10 of 10 for 213 yards and the 4 touchdowns.
Oh, he is in good rhythm, and they have kept their quarterback standing up. Hasn't been hit. He's very comfortable, and he's in sync and in rhythm. And now this is something they've done with Tannehill a little bit more snaps under center for the quarterback.
Tannehill on 2nd and 5, facing the pressure and set. John Simon, one of their backup linebackers, getting there. There is a penalty marker thrown.
Simon beat Jawan James on that play immediately.
Illegal shift, offense. That penalty is declined. Result of the play is a 2nd down.
All right, so Simon, the 30-year linebacker who came over from Baltimore on a free agent contract before last season, finally making a play for Bill O'Brien's defense.
They got him at 2nd and long. And now the key is to really, I think, just to improve their tackling. I think so many missed tackles where they've had Jarvis Landry point blank range. He's able to escape and be able to get the touchdown. The same with the long catch and run on the Rashard Matthews play. Many of them have come after a missed tackle.
Some kind of a delay here. Our referee, John Hussey.
The discussion on the field after declining the penalty, after discussion, it is 3rd down.
Yeah, after the penalty, that should have been changed, so it is 3rd down officially. And that will certainly change the play call here for Tannehill and the offense. So 3rd and 13 from the Houston 47. And now the rain has given way to plenty of sunshine here in South Florida. A little short pass is caught. That's Miller. And another marker thrown right behind the line of scrimmage. Jonathan Joseph on the tackle for Houston as Miller was well short of the 1st down marker.
Real aggressive tackle by Jonathan Joseph. That's what Romeo Crennel's looking for.
There is no foul on the play for an ineligible man downfield. 4th down.
The game has come to a bit of a grinding halt here. For some of you look ahead, there's still plenty of time left. 2.5 quarters, 35-0. You just wonder what you can say to your team if you're Bill O'Brien at halftime after really what's been an embarrassing first half performance.
I think what you say is don't worry about the scoreboard. You just come out and play one play at a time. Let's see if we can put a bunch of good, positive, effective plays together and see what we can do. And the score will take care of itself. I think that has to be the critical focus.
The penalty thrown at the Houston 40. That punt from Dar, 41 yards. We'll await the call here from our referee, who's suddenly a busy man, John Hussey. First year as an NFL referee.
Illegal formation on the kicking team. That penalty being enforced from the dead ball spot. Houston keeps the ball. 1st down.
35-0 Miami, 2nd quarter on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV.
35-0. And what has been one of the most lopsided halves of football in the NFL this season. Brian Hoyer, that pass deflected up high in the air, still loose, and it falls incomplete. One of the few breaks that the Texans have had today. Salmon, we came into the show talking about DeAndre Hopkins, and as we look at the replay so far, Miami has taken him away in this game.
Yeah, and look, I think that's Ndamukong Suh who was able to bat that ball up, obstructing the view of Hoyer. But you're right, they've taken away Hoyer's primary target, DeAndre Hopkins, who hasn't caught a ball yet in this game.
Short pass from Hoyer. That's Nate Washington on the reception. Let's just see what Hopkins has done so far.
That's just single coverage, but Hoyer overthrows him, doesn't give him a chance to haul it in. That one, he couldn't hold on to it because of tight coverage, and you could see Brent Grimes doing a good job of keeping him from getting on top in coverage. So Hopkins right now still trying to find his way.
First down for the Texans today at the 7:45 mark of the second quarter. And that's one thing that Hoyer told us in our sit down with him yesterday, is that they expected that to start to happen. Teams to target him, double him a little bit more and take him away, and really just make someone else beat them on this offense.
Nate Washington is a guy that's got to begin to make some plays. The tight ends, Fedorowicz and Graham, have to make plays, but both of them have put the ball on the ground. In fact, Fedorowicz caused an interception because he couldn't haul the pass thrown to him in, and it was returned for a touchdown.
Play action from Hoyer, hit on the throw. On 2nd and 10, Hopkins on a comebacker. It is a completed pass. Nice effort by Hopkins to come back. Olivier Vernon on the shot against Hoyer. 10 yards on the play.
He pays for this one. Watch this one. Complete, but not without paying the price.
Vernon was fined for his low hits on Marcus Mariota last week. A fine of over $37,000. That's Foster able to bounce to the outside, chased by Ndamukong Suh. You mentioned Nate Washington, Salmon. Didn't play the last 2 weeks with that hamstring injury. They've had injuries. Cecil Shorts is down today. Shorts, who finally gave them a nice effort last week. They just can't seem to get healthy.
Yeah, I think for as much attention DeAndre Hopkins is going to draw from defenders than the receiver opposite of him, Nate Washington, in this case, is going to have to begin to produce to take that double coverage off DeAndre Hopkins.
The second down pass is complete. That's Hopkins as they move inside Miami territory. 8 yards as Hopkins makes his second catch.
Hopkins even told us that, yeah, we're going to start to get more double coverage. I'm going to have to remain patient. He said last year when teams would do it, I find myself getting frustrated. He said, but I'm just going to have to allow the game to come back to me. Sooner or later, I will get the one-on-one opportunity.
Hoyer from the gun under pressure. And his first down pass intended for Chris Polk falls incomplete. We touched on just a historic pace that Hopkins was on coming into this game. Last week became the first player in league history to post 9+ catches and better than 145 yards in 3 consecutive games. And you just wondered how he was doing it. All the instability at the quarterback position. And without a healthy number 2 receiver behind him till this point. Draw play on 2nd and 10. This is Foster. Able to get downhill, crosses the 35. First down run for the Texans. Suddenly, this offense showing some signs of life.
There you can see the explosive run by Foster, but more on DeAndre Hopkins. He said that he had to work with both quarterbacks, Mallett and Hoyer. He didn't know who would be the starter and spent a lot of time working with both this offseason.
A lot of work that has paid off till this point. But Texans fans not thinking about any of that at this point. There's a nightmare first half continues. That pass intended for the rookie Mumphrey falls incomplete.
And what if Bill O'Brien's team can somehow find their way into the end zone here before going in at the half? It's just about one play at a time, one possession, Spiro, at a time to get the ball into the end zone. And that's what you have to do. And then the defense is going to have to come out and create some turnover.
This is Polk coming over from Philadelphia, released by the Eagles. It's been a huge asset for them, especially on 3rd down. But again, you look at the struggles of this team, Solomon, and right now entering the day just 1 game off the pace behind Indianapolis in the South.
Yeah, come away with a win here. Get to 500. You're going to find yourself at about 8-8. 9-7, I think, able to win this division. I don't think any of these teams are going to run away with it.
We should point out the Colts right now down 20-0 against the Saints. Third and 8. Hoyer's pass near side caught. That's Washington. First down and more. Ducks his shoulder inside the 20, close to the 15. Tackled by Rashad Jones, a pickup of 16.
Well, just when we called Nate Washington's name, one-on-one coverage against Jamar Taylor, you can see was able to separate at the top of his route and make the catch, get him down inside the red zone. This is where normally Hoyer would want to rely on those tight ends, but today they haven't been so reliable.
Play action from Hoyer. Oh, it's incomplete. Again, off the hands of Garrett Graham. Bobby McCain quickly converging. Another drop by Houston receiver.
Yeah, they've got to do something about this. Fedorowicz is going to come in for Graham. You can see Graham drops this one. And now he's going to head over to the bench. He's going to hear it from Bill O'Brien. Dolphins, though, they're playing physical. They've got something to do with some of the drops we're seeing from the Texans.
I'm sure Bill O'Brien has ever had to suffer through as difficult a half as this at any level of football. Second and 10, pass from Hoyer towards the end zone, intended for Graham, is incomplete. Coverage on the play by Rashad Jones.
Hoyer was trying to lead him away from Jones. Jones still just got a great read. Look, he goes to the front side shoulder, and that's how you almost get that interception. Sometimes down inside the red zone, as a quarterback, particularly with a big tight end, you don't want to lead them as much as you want to put the ball right on them and away from the defender. So maybe the ball on the back hip of your tight end there would have been a better play.
Play of the drive. Warriors set. Penalty flag thrown just beyond the line of scrimmage, inside the 20. I was just about to say, third down was when Hoyer was so effective last week in their victory in Jacksonville.
Offside, defense number 50. 5-yard penalty, remains third down.
That's Olivier Vernon on the penalty. Huge break for the Texans.
Yeah, you're going to see him right there. He's going to jump, get into that neutral zone before the snap of the ball.
So the penalty will make it 3rd and 5. And another chance for Houston as Dan Campbell looks on from the other side of the field.
No one's covering the receiver at the bottom of the screen. Now the linebacker's going to come out. I think that's the fullback. Now they finally get lined up properly on defense.
Keep it on the ground. They needed the 6 for the first down, and Foster doesn't get it.
Well, you would think Hoyer would recognize that the defense wasn't quite lined up. He could have went with a quick snap there and threw the ball to Jonathan Grimes, the fullback who was lined up on the right side of the formation. No one was covering him, Spiro. And that's where the real veteran quarterbacks, the Tom Bradys, the Peyton Mannings, they recognize the defense. You go quick count and come away with an easy touchdown. I'm sure they're talking to him about it. Like, you had no one covering number 41, the fullback, Jonathan Grimes.
George Godsey, their offensive coordinator, taking over the play calling from Bill O'Brien. And there he is at the bottom of your screen.
Look at him. No one's out there. No one's going to cover him. A veteran quarterback. See, you got to look out there. You got to snap the ball. Get yourself an easy touch. They still haven't covered him. And then watch. See, they're still running around, scrambling, trying to find who to cover. I think if you're a quarterback, that's where we talk about football IQ and having a sense of presence in the huddle. That's where being able to do things that are maybe unscripted to be able to manufacture points really help your team.
As one-sided a quarterback comparison as you'll see in one half of football in the NFL. Perfection from Tannehill. 3 touchdown passes of 50 or more yards. As Hoyer desperately tries to get his team in the end zone. Looked like Dan Campbell signaled for timeout. That'll be the first timeout taken by Miami as Houston gets ready for a 4th and 2. With NFL Mobile, watch local and primetime NFL games live on your smartphone. Learn more at NFL.com/mobile. Spiro Ditas, Solomon Wilcots, rest of our CBS crew from Miami. Week 7 battle between two teams looking for their third win of the season. And two teams coming off road wins last week.
You know, down here inside the red zone, 4th and 2. Most likely you're going to throw it, right? And the tight ends have been getting open. That's the one thing about it. We talk about how many passes, Spiro, that they've dropped so far in this game, but they are getting open. They're getting opportunities to catch the ball. Now they just got to catch it.
Dolphins coming, back foot throw to the end zone. It is incomplete. Intended for Jonathan Grimes, tried to make the bobbling catch. Bobby McCain, a rookie on the coverage. And a turnover on downs gives it back to Miami.
That's not where you want to go with the ball. To me, I think you got to go here, but you can see you have your fullback out there, and that's where they eventually want to go. But watch that ball should have came out right there to DeAndre Hopkins, who ultimately came open. And so Hoyer just throws it up for grabs to the fullback, who's in coverage against the corner. No way is he going to win that battle. I think you got to have better feel for where you want to go with the ball if you're Hoyer. And anytime you get DeAndre Hopkins in one-on-one coverage, that's where you got to go.
Houston drive 15 plays, 66 yards, but it stalls inside the Miami 10. First down run for Miller. Miller 13 rushes as he approaches 90 yards on the day. So many contributors for this Miami offense till this point. As you see Watt. Now it looks like he's shaken up.
It's not something you'd normally see. J.J. Watt coming up lame. He's such a hard worker. You know, he talked about the improvement you saw from their team last week. He said, hey, there's nothing like hard work. I kind of looked at him, you know, but you're going to see him right on your left, on the left side. There he is, penetrating right in front of the ball carrier. Slips and falls down there.
Dan Campbell marveling yesterday at Watt. Says he's a guy who just never seems to get tired. As they will continue to look at J.J. Watt. 2nd and 4 here. Tannehill under center. This is Miller. Another wide open seam. Miller still going. Plenty of open grass in front of him. 20, 10, touchdown Miami. 85 yards as Miller is into the end zone for the first time.
Well, they're just able to split the defense, and they get them cut off. They get them cut off. They get them walled off, and that's how you're able to score. It's going to be off this right side. See, they're going to come here and watch. They're going to get the linebacker, number 50, Hakeem Dent. He gets walled off. Once he can't get to the next level, you miss, again, tackles in the secondary. From there, the speed of Lamar Miller gets him into the end zone. It always starts with a missed tackle. First
time in the end zone for Miller on a rushing score today. Had a receiving touchdown earlier, as that point after from Franks is no good. Maybe the first thing that has gone wrong for the Dolphins this afternoon.
Romeo Crennel cannot be happy. He's allowed Lamar Miller 175 rushing yards here in the first half. Poor tackling from a Romeo Crennel defense just doesn't sound right. It's not something that's common. His defenses are known for being very good against the run. Very good in terms of tackling and in terms of technique and fundamentals. We have not seen that from the Texans defense here today.
So J.J. Watt having to come off the field for a play, and Miller makes him pay for it as he runs 85 yards for the touchdown. A little history for you. The Green Bay Packers tied the league record for points and a half as they put up 49 first-half points against Tampa Bay en route to a 55-14 victory. That was October the 2nd, 1983. As this Miami team has blown the doors off this game with still 2 and change left before halftime.
Look at the rushing yards. It is incredible.
Solomon, sometimes these games just don't make any sense. You sit here and you try to analyze it, what's happened in front of you, but this has been hard to believe. A Texans team that was confident after their road win in Nashville last Sunday, but they have been hit with multiple uppercut punches in this first half. And if this was a heavyweight fight, they'd have stopped it a long time ago.
A long time ago, right? From bleeding, hemorrhaging, if you will.
Solomon, maybe it's us. Last time we were here, week 3, it was 27-0 at halftime. Dolphins were losing to the Bills. Joe Philbin was fired a little over a week after that.
See, I go the other way. I understand that I'm powerless in the position that I have up here. Have nothing to do with what's taking place out there. We haven't missed a tackle. We haven't made a tackle. We haven't caught the ball at all.
Arian Foster crosses the 25, close to the 30, 10 yards on the run. And that's either going to be an awfully quiet Houston locker room at halftime, or
there'll be Gatorade flying. Yeah, tables could be broken. Someone's got to wake them up, right? This Houston Texans team is not as bad as what you're seeing here in the first half.
Quick strike to Hoyer. That is Hoyer to Hopkins. And Hopkins runs out of bounds as he picks up a Houston first down, a pickup of 11.
But there's no doubt about it, Spiro, that Dan Campbell has touched the pulse of this football team, and he has awakened these players. And like every good coach, he's getting the best of his 53 on this roster.
Well, it appears as though J.J. Watt is okay physically. I'm sure he's got a lot going through his mind. Had to leave the game for one play. And what happened? Lamar Miller runs for an 85-yard touchdown to make it 41-0. Final 2 minutes before halftime. First and 10, Hoyer from the 40. And Hoyer sacked again. And Ndamukong Suh finally with his first sack. We'll see if it stands. Penalty marker thrown right at the line of scrimmage.
And how about that? Some excitement from Ndamukong Suh. We didn't see that we were here for their home opener against Buffalo, but, you know, Dan Campbell said, hey, he's been working hard. He's been trying and sort of collaborating with the coaches on things that they could do differently on defense.
There's no foul on the play. The offense lined up illegal, but they remained and got in a legal position before the snap. Second down.
Well, he's been waiting a long time for it. His first sack as a Dolphin here in week 7.
There he is right there. He just keeps working. Detaches, finds his way to Hoyer. Good play.
First time in Suh's career that he done the first 5 games of the season without a sack. 2nd and 17.
Guess what?
And they get to him again with Suh.
It comes in waves. Last week, Cameron Wake had 4 sacks himself. 4 of the 6 sacks they had in the game. And now, in consecutive plays, Ndamukong Suh comes away with a sack. As the floodgates are just pouring in on Brian Hoyer.
Well, it's already been a roller coaster of a season for Suh. Obviously, the team struggling over the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season. There was that early report that he was freelancing away from what the scheme was with the defensive coordinator. Everyone denied that that was the case. Media's been on his back here, lack of production. But this is a chance for the star defensive tackle to start to pad his stats.
And you and I were here earlier in the season. There's no way I thought he was freelancing. But you could see the energy over the last 2 games has been different. So I think when you're Ndamukong Suh and you're used to being a force to be reckoned with, when it's not there, people are going to question your effort.
3rd and 25 after multiple sacks. Football is loose. Pressure coming from Cameron Wake, who had that incredible 4-sack performance last week. Houston able to recover.
Wake at the bottom of your screen. Look, he just rips right around the right tackle. That's going to be Chris Clark. And Clark is no match for Cameron Wake. Wake talked about it, said, hey, I kind of need my hamstring to play at my best. He was hampered with that hamstring injury early in the season. Said he used the bye week to get healthy, and then last week was unleashed for 4 sacks in that game.
And his 4 sacks tied for the most in a half in NFL history. Only Chris Clemens and the late Derek Thomas have done it.
This is what they dreamed of, Spiro. Ndamukong Suh, Cameron Wake, Olivier Vernon. Push on the inside, get one-on-one blocking against those ends on the outside. They got it going today.
Leckler able to get the punt off. This is Landry, has some room and will play it. Excellent coverage down the field by the Texans after a 47-yard punt. Coming up, the Verizon halftime report from New York. JB, Bart, Boomer, and Coach Cowher will stand by, have all the latest scores and highlights. So get your preview of Thursday Night Football coming up on CBS and NFL Network. All coming up on the Verizon halftime report. Flag was thrown behind Landry.
Kicking team went out of bounds on his own. That is a 5-yard penalty. Miami is elected to re-kick the ball, 4th down.
Osama, we mentioned the schedule. One thing to keep in mind for Miami, they've had the bye already behind them, but this is a short week. After today, they'll begin immediate preparations for Tom Brady and the Patriots coming up on Thursday night.
Well, that'll be the real test, right? Everyone questioned if the energy and spark that Dan Campbell provided in his first game as the Dolphins head coach 1 week ago against Tennessee, could it carry over? How much of emotion can you sustain from week to week? And it's going to be tested on Thursday night as they travel up to Gillette Stadium to take on the Patriots. It's going to take and require more than emotion. You got to have good discipline, good football IQ. And boy, you better be tough.
Halftime in that Patriots-Jets game right now. New England up 13-10. Another marker thrown right at the 50. This is Landry dancing inside Houston territory. Gets down to the 47. Well, at some point we'll get to halftime here. The officials have been awfully busy with the penalties. 63 seconds remaining in the second.
During the kick, holding, receiving team number 31. Penalty being enforced from the end of the kick. 1st down.
That's Michael Thomas. As you see the game summary till this point, with 1:03 remaining, Ryan Tannehill still perfect at 11 of 11.
Has he played better? I don't know that I've seen Ryan Tannehill play better than what we're seeing here in the first half. 4 touchdown passes, hitting receivers in stride, allowing yards after the catch, even on the screen, catch and run by Lamar Miller. That ball was lofted perfectly, allow him to catch it and run it and make his way to the end zone.
His first ever NFL start came against the Houston Texans in 2012. A nightmare against J.J. Watt in this defense, but so far 2 quarters into this one, he is his response. That's Jordan Cameron making guys miss. Runs out of bounds after a 1st down catch and run of 13 yards. Another reminder is another penalty flag is thrown. Verizon halftime report coming up next.
Defense.
Scores and highlights. Plus a preview of Thursday Night Football. It's all coming up on the Verizon halftime report.
Whereas Dan Campbell, he's not taking his foot off the pedal. They're still throwing. 56 seconds left, throwing the ball down the field, stepping out of bounds to conserve time. Most teams would take a knee right now and kind of take it in, but not this team. I guess they've been on a knee maybe those first 4 games, right?
As they continue to get this offense in here. What a different Miami offense it has been till this point. 1st and 10 pass. Tannehill airs it out down the field. It's caught That's the rookie Devontae Parker. We'll see if it stands. Penalty marker thrown right in the vicinity of that catch. 35-yard pass play if it stands.
I'm sure Bill O'Brien, he got to go tell his team, hey, it's 50 seconds left in the half. They're still throwing deep on you. They're wanting more points. They're not taking their foot off the gas pedal.
There are 2 fouls on the play, 1 by each team. Illegal formation, number 84 offense. Pass interference, 34 defense. Both fouls were declined by rule. First down.
So offset, that'll negate the play. A.J. Boye, the man penalized for Houston,
Correction,
and
both
Jordan
fouls
Cameron
offset by rule.
for Miami.
Maybe Miami's going for that record of points scored in the first half of a football game. But, you know, Dan Campbell's come in and preaching, hey, play hard all the time. Maybe that's something he wants to continue to preach to his football team, and maybe this is an example of it.
Tannehill looking, 1st and 10, and Clowney gets him from the back. And Jadeveon Clowney with his first NFL sack in his 10th career game.
He was able to beat the left tackle, Brandon Albert. I thought Albert had him blocked for a while, but see, Tannehill holds on to the ball way too long here. He's kind of drifting in the pocket. Didn't even sense that Clowney was stalking him from behind, but sooner or later you got to cut that ball loose. First career sack for Jadeveon Clowney.
Well, Clowney, who had been playing well prior to the ankle injury that sidelined him for their game last Sunday. First overall pick in 2014. Has already endured an assortment of injuries as Clowney makes another play as he brings Jonas Gray to the turf. And mercifully, the first half will come to an end for the Houston Texans, 41-0. We'll be back with the Verizon halftime report after this. You're watching the NFL on CBS, home of Super Bowl 50. Back with you in Miami, 41-0 in what was a stunningly one-sided opening half. Let's get you a look now at who you're loving, presented by McDonald's. Ryan Tannehill to Jarvis Landry, who came with some of the early game fireworks. 50-plus yards on the catch and run, getting his way into the end zone. And that was a sign of things to come, to say the very least. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the NFL on CBS. The Houston Texans have come onto the field. There will be a second half. Just stunning, Solomon, what we saw in the first half. What were your impressions?
Well, I knew Dan Campbell had lit a spark under his football team, but I didn't know he had lit an inferno. The way they came out like gangbusters in that first quarter, and they just poured it on throughout the first half of this ball game. And the way that they are running the ball, remember last week they had 180 yards rushing in the entire game. Well, they had over 180 yards rushing in the first half of today's game. They came out, they were able to create turnovers, they created big plays on offense, the 50-yard variety. He's got his team playing at a high level now for the Houston Texans. Totally shocked at Bill O'Brien's group because they came out tremendously flat. They could not tackle. Brian Hoyer couldn't get anything going on the offensive side of the ball. 65 yards total offense in the entire first half for the Houston Texans.
Solomon, what can Bill O'Brien do, if anything, to just make this game respectable in the second half?
Well, I think if you're Houston, make a play, make a tackle. Now, they didn't do either one of those things in the first half. So it starts with that, one play at a time, one possession at a time. And then if you're the Miami Dolphins, then I think you've got to run it all the way home. Eat clock and get out of here with a win. The more you run it, the faster time off the clock, it just fades away.
Well, Dan Campbell said that the official home opener was something that this team put behind them. He said this, in effect, becomes our home opener today. In our conversation with him yesterday, as they have hit the reset button and have played some incredible football over the last 6 quarters. Campbell, the 39-year-old interim head coach, taking over after that game in London a couple of weeks back after the firing of Joe Philbin. This is Damian Williams, who's been so good for this club on special teams, crosses the 20 and gets out close to the 25, a return of 30. Ryan Tannehill hasn't played much better halves in his career. You see what he did with this offense as Tannehill 12 for 12, 4 touchdowns in the first half.
How about that for high level of productivity? 4 touchdowns on their first 5 possessions, and then came out and got more after that. So Dan Campbell has really done a lot with this team, and he and Darren Rizzo, the special teams coach, they kind of share some of those responsibilities, Spiro, in terms of what they're doing procedurally with some of the timeouts and how they manage things. Do you go for it on 4th down? So I think they're doing a wonderful job of getting this team going in the right direction.
Earl Mitchell, the one-time Houston Texan, into the game at fullback. One of the starters along their defensive front. Not only a former Texan, but a native Houston, former 3rd-round pick by the Texans in 2010.
He's a large guy, I can tell you that. 6'3", 310 at fullback. As you said, a position he played in college. So he likes it. He loves coming in there. Now he gets to tee off and hit someone as opposed on defense being hit.
This is 2nd and 10. Dolphins will keep it on the ground with Damian Williams. Simon, you've been around this game a long time. It's such an emotional game, and as a player, you just wonder psychologically where you are after a half like that, where it's just been as bad as it gets if you're talking about that Houston side of the field.
Oh, it's where character shows up. It really is. Okay, it's seemingly you don't have a whole lot to play for, but yes, you do. You're playing for pride. You're playing for the opportunity to get better here in the second half, because you're going to go back Monday and you're going to put the tape on, and the coach is going to call out every single guy, particularly guys who didn't play hard late in the game.
On 3rd and 11, Dolphins just trying to gain some of that yardage back. That's Jonas Gray, who's well short of that 1st down marker. We told you earlier the Colts were losing against the Saints 20-0 as that game went to halftime. So from Houston's point of view, all the games that they've lost, and as bad as they've looked today, at this moment they are 1 game out of 1st place in the AFC South. That has to be motivation enough. Matt Dar, the rookie. Had to call his number much today. And boots away a good-looking kick. It'll be Mumphrey from his own 16. Excellent coverage down the field. 55 yards on the punt and 5 on the return on CBS. $41-0 as we welcome you back to Miami. Opening minutes, second half. Spiro Dita, Salman Wilcots, our entire CBS crew. Producer Ryan Galvin, Andy Goldberg, our director. As the Texans with their first offensive possession of this second half. And Salman, first half numbers for this offense, not much to talk about for the Texans.
8 possessions, and they've had to punt 6 times. It's very anemic. Only 65 yards total offensive first half for the Houston Texans. I don't think they could do any worse. So now they just got to get some rhythm and get it going.
2nd and 7. This is Foster. We sat with Hoyer. This offense was feeling good about what they did last week. Finally, it appeared as a quarterback that stepped forward for this team with the flip-flopping between Hoyer and Mallett. And it just goes to show you how cruel a league this could be week to week.
Yeah, when you think you got it going, it comes off the rails.
Hoyer, if you just joined us, 6 of 23 passing, 61 yards. And the interception that was certainly not something you can put on his shoulders. That bobbled pass off the hands of the tight end C.J. Fedorowicz. That's Nate Washington on the 1st down catch. As they are able to move the chains for only the 8th time today.
They're going with a no huddle, not necessarily a hurry up. Going with a no huddle, trying to reel off as many opportunities as they can.
Hoyer said he has been at his best when they have quickened the pace. No choice but to do that here, down 41-0. This is Foster trying to get to the 40. Picks up maybe a half yard. Well, think about everything Brian Hoyer has been through in his career. Undrafted out of Michigan State, caught on with New England, a team that went to the Super Bowl, has been cut multiple times, cut by his hometown team, which basically told him they didn't want him anymore, benched in favor of Johnny Manziel. Has put all that behind him and has endured a roller coaster of a season even this year through the first 7 weeks. 2nd and 9, that is called an incompletion. As Hoyer told us yesterday, that experience in Cleveland basically has prepared him for anything he faces from this point on.
Yeah, you even asked him, you say, well, you've been named the starter. It looks like you're going to be the guy. He says, that means nothing to me. Here's a guy that you kind of get the sense that he's been jaded a little bit by some of the things that have happened, because clearly in Cleveland, he outplayed Johnny Manziel, and I'm sure for the life of him, he can't figure out why he's no longer there, but he has been able to move on. He said, but he's just going to take it day by day. He knows that Ryan Mallett is lurking and waiting in the wings, but he's got to be more productive as the quarterback of this team if he's going to maintain his position as the starting quarterback.
Texans have to burn a timeout. Early stages, 3rd quarter on CBS.
NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest. Transparency. Low fares, nothing to hide. Toyota. Let's go places. And by Domino's. Order online at Domino's.com.
Wild weather here in South Florida. We've had rain, we've had sunshine. But it's been a party if you're a Dolphins fan to this point. First home game that they've played here since that Week 3 shellacking at the hands of the Buffalo Bills. 3rd and 9, Hoyer from the gun after the timeout. Airs it out far side, intended for Hopkins. And the dominant performances from DeAndre Hopkins, Solomon, have come to an end here in Week 7.
Yeah, the pressure on his quarterback continues. And Ndamukong Suh, C.J. Mosley, 94, making sure that Hoyer's uniform is getting dirty today. They've been relentless in terms of getting hits on the quarterback.
If you've just joined us, Ndamukong Suh with his first 2 sacks as a Dolphin. Came on successive plays late in that 2nd quarter. 8th punt by Shane Leckler. 51 yards and 9 on the return for Miami. 2 weeks, 2 top teams in the NFL. First, the Dolphins take on Tom Brady and their old friends from New England on CBS and NFL Network. And then the Browns and the unbeaten Bengals only on NFL Network. That'll come your way on November the 5th. Here's what the AFC East looks like at this point. Big one today between New England and the Jets. And right now the Patriots in front 16-10. That was the game everyone was talking about heading into week number 7. Here's Tannehill set. It's J.J. Watt. Entered the day without a sack in his last 2, and that drought, little mini drought, comes to an end.
Yeah, he had been hobbled at the end of the first half, but look, he's got enough to explode. Look at that arm over move, gets rid of the running back, still able to come away with the sack. He's able to beat 2 blockers, went at the line of scrimmage, and then he was able to beat Damian Williams to come away with the sack.
He does lead the NFL in tackles for loss entering this one today, despite multiple games without a sack before that play. This is Damian Williams putting a couple of guys in a blender. Crosses the 20, past the 25, and close to the 30-yard line, and what would be a Miami first down. Darryl Morris able to force him out as Williams runs for 20.
Well, again, poor tackling. Watch number 56. That's going to be Cushing. And he's got to get over there, but you got to keep that ball inside. See, he lets it back across his face along with other defenders. And, Cushing at the 2nd level, he's got to be the tackling machine playing behind that defensive line.
3rd and 1. Williams trying to get to it. Football comes loose. No signal yet.
Oh. It's going to the Texans. That ball was out.
And it will be Houston football. first recovered fumble of the season for the Texans. And it was Jonathan Joseph able to pounce on the football.
Yeah, we said they had to run it, keep it on the ground just to get out of here, eat clock, but forgot to say you also need to hold on to the football, because turnovers is the only way the Texans are going to get back into this ball game. Turnovers and touchdowns for the Texans, and the defense comes away with one there.
Well, Bill O'Brien had been waiting for any kind of positive contribution from his defense, and he finally gets it from Jonathan Joseph. Can Houston just make this game respectable at this point? Warriors' first down pass for Nate Washington, low and incomplete. We go to New York and an update. Here's JB.
Jets hanging in.
It's a back and forth battle as advertised. You're going to find Chris Ivory to the flats for the uncontested score. Jets regain the lead 17-16 in Foxborough.
Spiro and Solomon.
Oh, a lot of people wondering if the Jets would be up to the task and justify what they've done to this point.
Oh, they're playing very well. Great defense and a quarterback who can manufacture enough plays to get the ball to his weapons.
Here's Hoyer, puts a man under it, far side of the field. It's caught. That's Arian Foster inside the 10, and that'll set up a first down for Houston as they pick up 21 yards.
Yeah, now they're down inside the red zone and need to come away with some points. Good throw from Hoyer. He had enough protection. They were able to keep the pocket clean as he was able to throw that ball to Arian Foster.
First down, goal to goal. Here's Foster trying to cut his way back. And Salmon, you put this game behind them. If Foster can continue to get healthy, it just brings this offense back to what people expected it to be before the season. And then, of course, the questions and the instability at quarterback.
Well, they need to be able to run the ball because of the instability at the quarterback position. They're not as prolific there as they would like, but they do have a playmaker in DeAndre Hopkins, and if they can get the run game going, they'd have excellent balance.
Boy, on second and goal, fires end zone, it is caught. Foster, and finally Houston is on the board.
Jelani Jenkins was trying to cover Arian Foster, which is very difficult. He's just as a talented receiver as he is a runner. Look at him outside, 53. Jenkins gets no help to the outside, and Foster is able to separate, haul it in for a touchdown. Hoyer was looking at him the entire time because he knew he had the matchup he wanted, Foster against the linebacker.
7-yard touchdown reception, second receiving score for Foster on the season, and they have both come over the last couple of weeks. So the Damian Williams fumble leads to Houston's first points, and that's been the kind of day it's been for the Houston Texans. The point after from Nick Novak is no good. So Miami Dolphins cornerback Bobby McCain, cheerleaders and women's organization members partnered with Susan G. Komen and Living Beyond Breast Cancer to host an evening of yoga with more than 60 breast cancer patients and survivors in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Together, the NFL and the American Cancer Society encourage everyone to join in the fight against breast cancer. Find out how you can help make a crucial catch and share this message with friends and loved ones at NFL.com/pink. A wonderful cause that we've been talking about all month, and tough to segue into this piece of news that we just heard a couple of minutes ago. Flip Saunders, such a well-known and respected figure in the NBA, has passed away at the age of 60. He had been battling Hodgkin's lymphoma. This terrible news as Flip was supposed to be getting ready for the NBA season. That this stunning news out of the NBA.
Yeah, he'll be missed. I remember meeting him once, and many players I know love playing for him.
41-6, Miami. As Houston finally able to get on the board after the touchdown catch by Arian Foster. Here's Damian Williams, who fumbled a moment ago. Back-to-back spin moves. It's something you rarely see. That was video game-like from Williams. Finally brought down by Eddie Pleasant after a 31-yard return. Well, J.J. Watt's kind of been limping around a bit. Was able to break through a moment ago for his first big play.
This is the previous drive, but you can see he's able to just kind of hanging in there.
You saw him leave the game momentarily earlier in the first half on the Lamar Miller 85-yard touchdown run. This is Jonas Gray bouncing off tacklers, crosses the 35 out to the 40, 15 yards and a Miami first down. Justin Tuggle and Andre Howell on the tackle.
They're going to run over to the left side. J.J. Watt jumping underneath that block. He talked about it, and that really allows them to have a gap right there on that defensive line. He says he'll take calculated risks. That time he guessed wrong.
Fifth sack of the season earlier from J.J. Watt. 1st and 10. Dolphins will keep it on the ground. This is Gray, promoted to Miami's active roster prior to their Week 3 game against the Bills. That wild roller coaster of a rookie season he had last year in New England. 200-yard performance Week 11, then was late to practice a couple of weeks later, and spent the rest of the season in Bill Belichick's doghouse.
It's a learning experience, right? And hopefully he has learned his lesson, because he is a talented player, and I think he can help this Miami Dolphins football team. Even though Lamar Miller is the primary guy, I think Gray can add to their committee of running backs.
You see the play selection so far in the half. As they get to Tannehill again, it's Watt.
Wow. He has turned it on. He just made the play on that tackle. Then watch him come around. Starts at the top of your screen. He just keeps working. He outworks the offensive lineman to come away with the sack on Tannehill. J.J. Watt, relentless. What did he say? Every time he comes to the ballpark, there's some kid he knows is watching him for the first time. He wants that kid to leave with a memory of him playing well.
Watt was pumped up full of medications last Sunday. He was under the weather. Says it was not his best performance, and you certainly expected him to respond today. But unfortunately for he and the Texans, it has come on a day in which they have been blown out. Penalty marker thrown behind the line of scrimmage.
Holding, offense number 51. That penalty is declined. 4th down.
That's Mike Pouncey, among the best centers in the NFL. Well, if you're Bill O'Brien, you're seeing some positive play, at least from your defense, first couple of minutes of the third quarter.
I think you want to see your player, especially on defense, hit, hustle, run, and make sure tackles. Good things are going to happen. The ball will pop out on the fumble. You will get sacks on the quarterback and create turnovers.
Updated score from that Colts-Saints game, 27-0. Indianapolis is losing. So that would certainly minimize the damage of this game for Houston, as the Texans are just one game back of the Colts in the AFC South. Excellent looking punt from Matt Darr, the rookie. Brian Hoyer back onto the field when we come back.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by FedEx. Solutions that matter. And by Pennzoil Synthetics. Make the switch to Pennzoil Pure Plus Synthetics today.
Well, if you brought your sunscreen and an umbrella, you were really thinking it through today. We've had some wild weather back and forth. We've seen the heavens open up. Bright sunshine. As we play with under 6 to play now in this third quarter. Long throw to Nate Washington across the field. First down and a lot more. Good looking throw from Hoyer as they pick up 23, forced out of bounds by Jamar Taylor.
Good looking protection for Brian Hoyer. Allowed him to get rid of that ball and get it over to the boundary where Nate Washington was able to haul it in.
You see the numbers at the top of your screen. Just incredible discrepancy between these two teams. That's Washington again. Sam, if you're a Texans fan, how much of this do you put on the quarterback? Because they're always the easy target, in these games and when things don't go well. But today it has been a breakdown really from A to Z.
You know how we talk about complimentary football, everyone pitching in when you're trying to win a game? And this is complimentary as well. Everyone's pitched in and had a hand in playing poorly today.
Here's Foster, little cutback maneuver inside Miami territory all the way down to the 24-yard line. Brent Grimes on the tackle, and now Foster's starting to look like his old shifty self.
Yeah, and Hoyer is going to get it to him. We talked about it. He is, I think, a matchup advantage, even with a defensive back on him. But if you get a linebacker on Arian Foster, go ahead and turn him loose and get him the football.
26 yards on the catch and run. He gets a blow. Alfred Blue onto the field. Little crossing route over the middle. This is Hopkins. And the football comes loose. Looks like the Texans are able to recover. It was Garrett Graham falling on the football just inside that 15-yard line.
And sometimes, even the great players, you try to do too much.
A catch and a fumble recovered by the offense. Second down.
Yeah, just trying to do too much on that one from DeAndre Hopkins. You're going to make a catch here. Now you just got to turn it up, get as much as you can. But you start jumping around, getting the ball away from your body. They poke it out. And you're lucky Graham was able to fall on it.
Football was forced out by Jelani Jenkins, by the way. Here's Foster. Then breaking tackles, getting to the outside. Appeared as though Olivier Vernon had a chance at him in the backfield. 5-yard run and a first down from Foster.
Yeah, he's able to get that first down. He's working hard. You can see he's getting that elusive ability back into his game. He's able to make some guys miss. Still has that burst to get to the edge, hit the corner. Now let's see if, looking like in an I formation, maybe they run it or go play action.
The rookie offensive tackle Kendall Lamb has reported as eligible. He wears number 63. First and goal. This is Blue. Inches close to the 5 and brought down at the 6.
How many teams in the National Football League now are lining up in an I formation with a true fullback like Jonathan Grimes and running the ball with great power? It's just rare.
Well, the offensive game has changed over the years. This is Blue again. Picks up a half yard, maybe a yard. And we'll see what they elect to do here on 3rd and goal as Foster comes back in.
Some of these elements are starting to come back. I believe this is the year of the running back. Look at the teams that are running the ball with really good ball carriers. When you can run it, you got to play well. I think Cincinnati Bengals are one of those teams. They have 2 running backs that they use. Marshawn Lynch, if he gets it going again for Seattle, you expect him to be back in it. Now let's see if Hoyer can get it into the end zone.
Well, certainly 2-down territory for Houston as Ndamukong Suh comes across early. We'll see if he was drawn off sides. Again, our referee today is John Hussey.
Neutral zone infraction. Defense number 93. Half the distance to the goal. 3rd down.
Rare mistake today by Suh. Had his first 2 sacks with his new team in the first half.
That time they went empty. No one was in the backfield with Hoyer. And now they're going to come out again. And they've got Arian Foster and DeAndre Hopkins to one side. So you can't double both of them.
Again, movement across pre-snap. Foster trying to back his way in. Touchdown. Appeared to be a free play as Vernon came across early. Foster into the end zone for the 2-yard touchdown.
Smart play. They started Foster out.
Offside. Defense. That penalty is declined. Touchdown.
They motioned him back into the backfield, Spiro, and look, we call it just running to the bubble. Here you can see the offsides by Olivier Vernon. When we talk about running to the bubble, you're running behind or at that defensive lineman who doesn't have a linebacker behind him, knowing that you can get a seam there and get your way into the end zone.
So Foster, who missed the first 3 games of the season with that devastating groin injury, has missed so much time over the last couple of seasons. Had a nice bounce back last year. Rushed for nearly 1,300 yards, starting to resemble his old self. Nick Novak's point after is good. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Next Sunday, the NFL on CBS features regional action. In one game, the Bengals will take on the Steelers. Some of you will see the Chargers and the Ravens, or the Titans and the Texans. Also, the Jets getting set to take on the Oakland Raiders. Check your local listings, beginning with your Super Bowl 50 team. JB, Tony, Bart, Coach, and Boomer on the NFL Today. Some of the notable passing leaders around the NFL. Teddy Bridgewater at the top, and Lamar Miller, 85-yard touchdown run to punctuate his afternoon here against Houston.
What a day for Lamar Miller. Came out like gangbusters.
Well, this is where it gets a little tricky for a team. You build up a huge lead like they were up 41-0 at halftime, and then the challenge for Dan Campbell is keeping his team mentally in the game. Houston playing for pride at this point. Who knows what was said in their locker room at halftime. But Dan Campbell is not a coach who will just kind of sit idly by and watch this lead slowly start to get cut into.
Especially when you have been promoting amongst your team how to be competitive, regardless of what the scoreboard says. And whether you're down or whether you're up, I think you've got to still come out and continue to compete, man on man, just how you prepared and practiced all week long.
Tannehill fakes right, throws under duress. This is Damian Williams. Williams breaking a couple of tackles and brought down at the 27 by Clowney and Crick. We had a fun time sitting with Campbell yesterday at their facility. We asked him about this growing legend that he's basically nocturnal, that he doesn't sleep. So that he laid in his hotel bed in Tennessee last Saturday night before the game, called his wife, talked to her for about 45 minutes, fell asleep, woke up again at 3 a.m. and just some of the things he's been struggling with in what's been a whirlwind couple of weeks.
Yeah, he said, there's some of the things that, about coaching that's got nothing to do with football, making decisions, what we're going to eat, what time to leave on your flights, and all those other things.
Tannehill, by the way, still has not thrown an incompletion. That's Deion Sims, who missed a number of games with a concussion. And Campbell, as we get an injured player, looks like Vince Wilfork is the injured Texan. Houston trainers quickly come onto the field. Wilfork, the South Florida native, grew up in Boynton Beach, about 40 miles from where we are here. And the good sign is Wilfork will walk off on his own power.
Isn't he built like a nose tackle? I mean, it's got to get 2-3 guys to block him. The other guys should be hurt. Like, he fell on top of some guys, but it looked like Cushing came in and hit him as he was attempting to make a tackle or hit on the ball carrier.
11 years in a storied career with the Patriots, two-time Super Bowl champ, 5-time All-Pro, and a linchpin of 9 top 10 defenses in the NFL. This is Williams again. A little extra effort, gets the first down, crosses the 30. We'll see what the penalty call is here. With the clock stopped at 25 seconds.
Holding. Offense, number 70. 10-yard penalty. 3rd down.
That's Jawan James, their second-year tackle and former first-round pick out of Tennessee.
Had a nice little play going there. They allowed J.J. Watt to come up the field unblocked. When do you ever see Watt going unblocked? Look at the top of the screen. Watch, he'll run right by him. See, turn him loose in the shovel pass underneath it. And if Williams drops that ball, it's just going to be an incompleted pass. That play is more of a forward pass, but again, they left J.J. Watt unblocked, and that time they, in a rare occasion, was able to fool him on the play.
Dolphins will let the final 17 seconds come off the clock. So the Houston Texans down 41-0 at halftime actually scored the only points of that third quarter. Well, a lot more uphill road to hoe for Bill O'Brien and the Texans. End of the third quarter. We'll return to Miami after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Ryan Tannehill from the shotgun as we begin the fourth quarter. Spiro Dita, Salman Wilcox, our entire CBS crew from Miami. Dolphins led 41-0 at halftime if you've just joined us. 13 unanswered by the Texans till that point. There's Jonas Gray on the catch, crosses the 25, and then is met by a number of defenders. Needed the 30. Well short as they pick up 9 through the air.
And how about Ryan Tannehill remaining perfect? 16 for 16 in this game. Come out and played well, but you have to give the offense coordinator, Bill Lazor, head coach Dan Campbell, a lot of credit for what they're doing with Ryan Tannehill. 4 touchdown passes on the day. He couldn't play any better, but they're giving him a game plan that's allowed him, I think, to get into early rhythm, early throws, bubble screens, and still produce big plays in the offense.
Tannehill stumbling through the first 4 weeks of the season. Well, we could say the same for this entire offense. But a breakout performance last week in the win in Nashville, and then more than carrying over here into week number 7. 50-yard punt, 14 on the return from Mumphrey on CBS.
You are watching the NFL on CBS, home of Super Bowl 50.
It's Super Monday on CBS, beginning with TV's #1 comedy, The Big Bang Theory. That'll be followed by the premiere of Supergirl. Then stay tuned for the Super Geniuses of Scorpion. It's an all-new Super Monday tomorrow on CBS. Happy to have you still with us. 41-13. Early stages, fourth quarter here in Miami. Here's Arian Foster crossing the end zone on a rushing and receiving touchdown. Tackled on the play by Bobby McCain, the rookie 5th-round pick, who hadn't played much before today. Told you about some of the injuries that they have had to contend with. Bryce McCain out with a knee injury, and so a chance for Bobby to get some run. Primarily a special teams player until this point for the 5th-round pick out of Memphis. Hoyer has some time. 2nd and 4. His pass is caught. And it's Chris Polk. First down on the reception, just short of the 50.
Spiro, you would think that with guys like Bobby McCain coming in, Jamar Taylor, that Hoyer in this offense with DeAndre Hopkins would have been able to take advantage of Bryce McCain being out today, but they have not been able to do that. Relentless pass rush from that front 4 for the Dolphins.
Here's Hoyer on first down, slings over the middle, inside Dolphins territory. Back to New York and an update with JB.
Kansas City showing some moxie.
Yes, Alex Smith's going to drop back and find Chris Conley for the 6-yard score. Yes, Chris Conley, a receiver. Kansas City up 23-13.
Hopefully Spiro and Solomon won't get on me about the word moxie, Bart. Back to Spiro.
Hey, JB, Spiro's got moxie every week.
One of my favorite words.
Every week.
Chris Polk inside the 40, down to the 38-yard line. And that'll be another Houston Texan first down.
See, I know what JB mean. The millennials, they don't use that word moxie. They call it swag, right?
I've always liked that word.
Is it swag or moxie?
We had moxie before this game started.
Yeah. Even during the game. If they only knew, right?
41-13. As even the fans have gotten tired of cheering as that pass from Hoyer is picked off. There is a penalty marker thrown. That's Michael Thomas, the safety. Thomas crosses into Houston territory. It appeared as though Derek Shelby may have come across early.
Offsides, defense, number 79, 5-yard penalty, first down.
That is, in fact, Shelby on the penalty.
Look at him at the top of the screen. He jumps right there. So Hoyer knows he can take a shot down the field at DeAndre Hopkins, even though Thomas makes him pay for it. Shelby just took a play away from his defense.
One injury update from the Houston side. Akeem Dent, one of their starting linebackers, has a hamstring injury. His return is questionable. Chris Polk Lone setback on 1st and 5. That pass thrown behind Graham and falls incomplete. And Hoyer's difficulties with his tight ends continue.
Yeah, that one was on Hoyer. You know, he's got to put it out in front of Graham. You know, that one was behind Graham, and had Graham just tipped that one up, it would have been intercepted.
Not a single catch in this game from any of Houston's tight ends, Fedorowicz and Graham. On 2nd down, that pass intended for Washington is incomplete. Hoyer now 16 of 38 for $182.
And highly inaccurate throwing the ball. That ball could have been intercepted. It was high and behind his intended receiver, Nate Washington. Take a look at Ryan Mallett resting on the bench.
Well, not the best 24-hour period in Ryan Mallett's Houston Texan career. Just a bystander. 3rd and 5. Hoyer fires near side. It is caught inside the 30, and that'll be enough for a 1st down. For those fans wondering why we haven't seen Ryan Mallett, we told you earlier he missed the team charter here yesterday. Paid his own way, flew commercially, got here last night, is active, but that only out of necessity, Sam, and no other healthy backup quarterbacks on the roster.
Yeah, you have to wonder, had he been on the team playing the way Hoyer got off to a slow start on one of his first 10 pass attempts, had Mallett not come into the ball game.
On 1st and 10, Hoyer's pass near side is caught. That's Washington. Stays in bounds, and he crosses the goal line. First touchdown reception for Nate Washington as a Houston Texan. 27 yards from Hoyer.
Well, it's just a simple out route by Nate Washington. See, he's going to be here, and he'll come, and he's working against Jamar Taylor. But Taylor takes a poor angle. You got to go top side of that shoulder, not come underneath like that, because now you don't have a way to get to the ball or make the tackle if you miss. Just poor angle defensively by Jamar Taylor. Good play by Nate Washington.
Taylor in his 3rd year out of Boise State, former 2nd-round pick here in 2013. Only his 4th career start with the injury to Bryce McCain. Novak's point after is good. So the Houston Texans, 20 unanswered points, 41-20 on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. Hyundai, an official sponsor of the NFL. And by AT&T. DirecTV and AT&T are now one, bringing television and wireless together.
Oh, some of the great images of the Miami Dolphins in this franchise, that perfect season. Only team to win a Super Bowl with a perfect season. 3rd season in the National Football League at that point. Only their 7th season in franchise history. And a year of football that they'll be talking about here until the end of time. 41-20, 20 unanswered points by the Houston Texans, who were down in this game at halftime 41-0. Oh, never miss a moment of football action with the CBS Sports app. Every play and score, every game, and every highlight right as they happen. Download the CBS Sports app now at cbssports.com/mobile.
There's Bill Lazor, the offense coordinator for the Miami Dolphins. You can see what they've done here in the second half. So when you add the punt in 3 of your 4 possessions in the second half, you say to yourself, okay, let's get something going. Let's get back on track.
Tannehill goes play action, puts a man under it, and that pass is incomplete. If you've just joined us, as we get a late marker now in the backfield, as Tannehill took a hit, and Jadeveon Clowney.
Roughing the passer, number 90 of the defense. Contact to the head and neck area. 15 yards, automatic first down.
Learning moment for the 2nd year, Clowney.
Led with the helmet to the quarterback. You have to learn. No, we can't do that in the National Football League. And this is what, his head coach Bill O'Brien talked about. He just needs more experience, needs to be on the field more. He's missed a lot of playing time with injuries during his first 2 seasons.
little fractured knee surgery last December. Finally able to get himself healthy. Here's Jonas Gray. Crosses the 35 and forced out of bounds by Max Bullock. If you've just joined us, Ryan Tannehill in this game, 23 consecutive completions in a row. That dates back to last week. And that a new franchise record for Miami. Tannehill today, 16 of 16. That's what you call economical.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And, he's come under criticism early in the season. So he needed a game like this to kind of validate that new contract awarded to him this offseason.
Quick strike far side of the field. Tannehill finds Greg Jennings. As we get more penalty markers thrown. Jennings coming over in the offseason, signed that free agent deal to reunite, at least initially, with Joe Philbin, his old offensive coordinator in Green Bay.
Holding, offense number 80, 10-yard penalty, second down.
That's Deion Sims, their third-year tight end out of Michigan State.
But Bill Lazor, you saw in that pass there, Spiro, it's just a quick little bubble screen. Something quick, get the ball in the flat. These are easy completions. That's why Tannehill is going 16 for 16. The fact that he's executing them, he's not putting the ball in harm's way, but Bill Lazor's given his quarterback a game plan that he can execute and still allows the offense to be productive.
It has to be bittersweet couple of weeks for Bill Lazor. We've seen this offense start to perform much better, but it's come at the expense of his now ex-boss, Joe Philbin, fired, and also his colleague Kevin Coyle, the defensive coordinator, who was also fired here a couple of weeks back. Greg Jennings with his first 2 catches of the year and make it 24 consecutive completions for Tannehill. That one for 23.
And he's throwing it down the field. Great block by Deion Sims, the tight end, picking up Clowney coming in from the blind side. It buys time for his quarterback Tannehill to get that ball over to Greg Jennings. So the protection is held up and help him to complete those 24 straight passes. Phenomenal. Really good job.
Ties Donovan McNabb for the all-time NFL record. He has spread the wealth, as you just saw. 8 different players have caught it. That pass is caught. And a new NFL record. It's Jordan Cameron. 11 yards on the pass from Tannehill.
And Jordan Cameron, you can see him right side of your screen. He had to work to get this one for Tannehill. But give Tannehill credit, because he was out on the move, running from J.J. Watt, and still put that ball where Jordan Cameron could haul it in.
A little piece of history for Ryan Tannehill. 25 straight completions as he bridges week 6 and 7, a new NFL record. Jonas Gray getting some run here with Lamar Miller's afternoon over. So Tannehill moves past this man, former Eagles quarterback Donovan McNabb, November of 2004. 24 straight completions to set the league record. He connected on his last 10 passes in that game against the Giants, and then a week later completed his first 14 in a game against the Packers. Ryan Tannehill, former 8th overall pick. Texas native, born in Lubbock, grew up in Big Spring. Taking on his hometown team and having his way with him in week number 7. This is not the first time this year, Solomon, that we've seen the Texans blown out. You go back to that Atlanta game. It's just been such a fluctuation with this team week to week. Last week they looked so good. Granted, it came at the expense of a Jacksonville team that struggled. Just hard to explain. Yeah, and I'm sure Bill O'Brien is searching for answers. Because you know Romeo Crennel is a really good defensive coordinator. You know Bill O'Brien's a good head coach. I think we got a good glimpse of that during the Hard Knocks episode this summer. But for some reason or another, this isn't clicking, not coming together. I think deficiencies at the quarterback position has really hurt him as well. First incompletion, you saw and heard the reaction from the fans as Deion Sims was the intended receiver. So Tannehill now 18 of 19. He put it right on him. I mean, go up
with two hands and not one. Now, Sims is a tight end. I think he's better suited as an inline blocker at 6'4", 270. Not as nearly as nimble and athletic as Jordan Cameron.
Only the second field goal attempts for Andrew Franks in the last 3+ games. This one has the distance from 53, and it is good from the rookie. Impressive looking boot from Andrew Franks after the Dolphins drive stalls. Saturday, the SEC on CBS rolls out the best game from the best conference with a rivalry that's a whole other thing. This one gets so heated, it's played on neutral turf. The Florida Gators and the Georgia Bulldogs. All the fun starts with college football today. Fern and Gary and the rest of our CBS crew will have that call. 44-20. And this almost isn't fair at this point, the quarterback comparison, and just an incredible discrepancy, Solomon, right down the list.
Yeah, it has. You can see widely productive offensive players for the Miami Dolphins and anemic numbers for the Houston Texans.
Andrew Franks just booted a 53-yard field goal. And that one through the back of the end zone as Brian Hoyer and company come back onto the field. Again, if you're a Texans fan, as hard as this has been to watch, the fact that the Colts are about to lose to the Saints certainly lessens the sting of this defeat, at least on the standing sheet. But so much to talk about this week as they will slowly start to look ahead to Tennessee next week.
Dan Campbell's got to get his team ready for a Thursday night game against the New England Patriots. That'll be a real test for him.
Hoyer goes play action on 1st and 10. That pass is caught, so Nate Washington, who did not play in the last 2 games with a hamstring injury, now starting to pad his numbers in garbage time. 22 yards and a first down.
And Jamar Taylor, the cornerback for the Miami Dolphins, got to figure it out. They're starting to come after him. Nate Washington has over 100 yards receiving in the game. Most have come here in the second half.
Already for Washington, it's his second 100-yard receiving game as a Texan. There's another penalty marker thrown. Washington had that stellar debut in the opener before going down with a hamstring injury.
Neutral zone infraction, defense number 91. 5-yard penalty, first down.
That's Cameron Wake.
You know, defensive players, they always talk about getting the lead, playing with a lead. Stop the run, get the lead, then we get to rush the quarterback. Well, they're anxious now to get sacks getting to the quarterback.
1st and 5 after the penalty. That one batted high in the air. We had a chance to sit with Wake yesterday, Sam, and he has some of the biggest arms I think I've ever seen. He's like an Adonis chiseled out of rock. What a defensive player he's been. And finally looks like his old self after the hamstring had slowed him down in the first 4 weeks.
He is a hard worker. He puts the work in, and he expects to have high levels of production. That last pass was tipped by Ndamukong Suh, and here he comes away with the tackle.
Alfred Blue on the carry.
Suh has had himself a really good ball game today. You know, when we talked to Dan Campbell, he says, you know, I sat down and talked to Ndamukong Suh and said, hey, you just tell me what's been going on with you. He wanted to just hear him out. And Dan Campbell, as a former player, he can appreciate that. Sometimes players just want to be heard. They need someone to listen. And he was like, okay, we're going to allow you to do some things, but, you know, we want you to work within our structure. And then Ndamukong Suh, you can tell he's bought in because the performance he put on here today, he's been able to hurry and harass the quarterback, digging out ball carriers in the midst of that line of scrimmage. Been able to come away with a couple of sacks today where he got him on consecutive plays. So he's been relentless. He's worked hard and been highly productive today. 5 hits on the quarterback, couple of sacks. Played really well.
And Sam, when you think to how Jim Washburn was using him in Detroit, the Lions defensive coordinator, moving him around, giving him the freedom to kind of use his very high football IQ. So give Dan Campbell credit for sitting him down and getting input from one of his star defensive players. It certainly paid off for a second straight week. From the shotgun, this is 3rd and 3. It's caught by Hopkins. Quiet day for Hopkins, only his 5th catch. Tackled by Brent Grimes. To New York and JB.
Patriots precision.
Tom Brady drops back and finds Rob Gronkowski wide open for the 15-yard touchdown. It's Gronkowski's 60th touchdown of his career. New England up 30-20.
Just textbook Spiro and Solomon.
I still wonder, how does Gronk get that wide open? I don't know.
I'm sure a lot of Jets fans in New York are asking that same question.
You cover him coming out of the huddle.
Simon, Brady's just a machine. At this point, it's unbelievable what he's done. You can count on your hand the amount of division losses in his career at home, as it looks like they're going to beat the Jets.
Comes to play every single week.
The 6-minute mark, 2nd and 10. Here's Foster trying to get downhill inside the 35, close to the 33. A run of 11 and a Texans first down.
Just love the way that Arian Foster runs. He's so patient. He just sort of glides. People just slide off of him. Very difficult to tackle his way. Layout.
Penalty markers come in both sides of the field. Maybe a free play for Hoyer. Completes to Keith Mumphrey. And now the officials will give the penalty.
Defense number 93. That penalty is declined. Result of the play, first down.
So Mumphrey with his first catch, 16 yards and a first down.
You see the entire defensive line, they're bringing all of them out. They're a little bit exhausted. Sort of a shift change for the defensive front.
We spoke with Dominican Sue when we were here last month, talking about the transition coming from Detroit here to South Florida. First time that he's played his home games in warm climates. As Houston keeps it on the ground inside the 15. That's Foster, close to the 13-yard line. And it's always such a transition. You spend 5 years in your career in one city, pick up your family, and it's been a transition, but after a rough start, looks like Sue's starting to play like his old self.
There you play and change schemes as well, where they're asking you to do things maybe a little bit differently. That can, I think, take some time to adjust as well.
Hoyer on 2nd and 5, looking end zone and incomplete. The other interesting thing about Sue is that, you talk to him, Sally, and you have a picture of him in your mind because of all the things that have happened. You see the ferociousness on the field. People have called him a dirty player in the past, but he comes across so differently in person. Such a thoughtful guy and such a bright guy as well.
Very bright, very intelligent, very instinctive. And that's why the coaches said, yeah, we'll listen to him. He said now some of his suggestions were good ones, some of them weren't so good, but he's got to be able to accept that as well. And I think if you're Sue, you want to always maintain a presence where you're coachable, that you can work with coaches to play well.
Hoyer on 3rd and 5, over the middle. That's Hopkins who takes a hard smack from Rashad Jones, as physical a safety as we have in the NFL.
Now, he's a star player. There's no doubt. In my mind, I think he's one of those safeties that maybe we don't talk enough about him, but I think now playing behind this defensive front with the stars they have on this defense, Cam Wake and Dominican Sue, Brent Grimes, I think people are going to find out about Rashad Jones. I think he's on his way to a Pro Bowl. Already had another touchdown today after getting an interception. 1st and goal. Jones talked about them simplifying the defense and how that has helped, as we see another drop from a Houston receiver. That's Nate Washington. Looks like an injured Texan on the field. Oh, boy, and that's Arian Foster. My goodness. he just takes a step, and it's as if his leg gives out. Watch him coming toward you in the screen as he takes off after the snap right there. Just gave out on him. And he appears to be in a lot of pain. There you see him in motion. Look right there, just gave out. Something popped. And it's, you know, he's been one of the best players since 2009 when he had his first touchdown against the Miami Dolphins. He scored more touchdowns than any other player in the league since then.
Very simply, when he has been healthy, he's one of the best all-around running backs in the NFL, hands down. But just cannot seem to catch a break with these injuries. We hope that he's okay. 2nd and goal. Lamb, the tight end, in motion. Chris Polk is the lone setback as he flanks Hoyer. Dolphins coming on a blitz. Hoyer throws end zone, caught. Nate Washington for the touchdown. 2nd receiving score for Washington, the 11th year vet, as he beats Bobby McCain.
It's like they're making it look easy here in the second half as they're going to cart off Arian Foster. But it's going to be on the left side of your screen against Bobby McCain, 28. Nate Washington beats him for a touchdown.
3rd passing touchdown from Hoyer, and the 2nd to Nate Washington. And so the obvious concern as Foster is carted into the locker room. Hoyer's pass on the 2-point attempt is deflected by Derek Shelby. And you can just hope that that injury to Foster's ankle not as serious as it looks.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Dish. The Dish 2-year price lock. Go to Dish.com to learn more. And by Subway, the mouth-watering chicken and bacon ranch. Subway, eat fresh.
44-26 with 4 minutes to play in this 4th quarter. Reminder coming up on the Subway postgame show. We'll send you to New York. JB and the guys standing by. They'll get you the latest scores and highlights as Week 7 continues. All next on the Subway postgame show.
You could expect an onside kick here, Spiro, from the Texans. They're still in it. 4 minutes to go. You can get the ball here, get yourself a quick score.
It's Nick Novak, who's bounced around the NFL, cut by the San Diego Chargers at the end of the preseason. Missed an extra point earlier, but he can atone for that here with a good-looking onside kick. Dan Campbell sends out his hands unit. And here comes Novak. A little trickery on that little back foot onside kick. That's one you don't see very often.
Well, it barely matriculated 10 yards down the field, which is required before the kicking team can recover it.
Injured Miami Dolphin is Damian Williams. The man who recovered the football was Michael Thomas, who had that interception negated earlier due to a penalty. Now, one thing you don't want to see ever, especially in a game that has been long decided, is injuries. And we just saw Arian Foster carted off the field, an injury to his lower left leg. And now it's Damian Williams, who you saw take a shot unexpectedly on that play from Eddie Pleasant. And Salmon, as you know, you just kind of get the wind knocked out of you, especially when it's coming from a direction that you didn't see.
Yeah, he's going to be able to walk off, and that's a good thing.
And we have just been told it is an Achilles injury for Arian Foster. And You know, if you're a Texans fan, immediately the worst thing comes into your mind. You hope it's not as bad as we think it may be. Here comes Matt Moore. Ryan Tannehill's day is over. 18 of 19 was Tannehill, 282 and 4 touchdowns on a day that he sets a new NFL record, 24 consecutive completions going back to last week.
Well, he should feel good about himself. He should feel good about this offense and this football team and the way that Bill Lazor is using some of the talent around him. Those talented wide receivers, Jarvis Landry, Kenny Stills, Rashad Matthews, Devontae Parker even got into the act today. He's got a couple of tight ends and Jordan Cameron and Deion Sims that if this offensive line can continue to block like they have in the run game over the last 2 weeks, this Dolphins offense can take off.
There's Jonas Gray finding the seam on the outside, inside the 25, close to the 20. As the clock continues to run, nice play by Gray to stay in bounds, 16 yards and a Miami first down.
Yeah, good move by Gray, but can't say enough about their ability to run the football, right? Miami Dolphins 254 yards rushing today. Tannehill, 18 of 19. You want to keep those numbers going and complete a high percentage of your passes. You run the ball the way they did today, 254. Incredible.
You saw the record, 25 consecutive completions as Gray is brought down right after the take. J.J. Watt, who has 2 sacks in this game. Houston will burn a timeout. One more reminder coming up, the Subway postgame show. JB, Bart, Boomer, Coach Cowher standing by in New York. Busy day around the NFL. We'll tell you about that finish in New England between the Jets and the Patriots. All coming up on the Subway postgame show. Salman, are you slowly starting to become a believer, or has this simply been a case of Miami getting themselves right against 2 teams that have really been struggling in Jacksonville and Houston?
I'm a believer simply because this was a team coming into 2015 you felt had the talent to play well. You felt particularly on the defensive side of the ball, they could dominate at the line of scrimmage. They could make plays on the back end. All Dan Campbell did was tap into that and draw out of them the talent that's there, that for some reason or another was being held back during their first 4 or 5 games of the season.
There's Matt Moore on in relief of Tannehill, completes. This is Greg Jennings. Jennings close to the 10. Houston out of timeouts, unable to stop it. First down, and that should take us to the 2-minute warning. Second straight lopsided victory for Miami's interim head coach, Dan Campbell. Not hard to believe that after all the hiccups early in the season, the Dolphins are 2 minutes away from getting themselves to 500. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Updated look at the standings. New England has defeated the Jets, so they get to 6-0. Jets now at 4-2. Miami, as soon as this one ends, will get to 3-3. Buffalo a loser earlier today. That game was played in London against Jacksonville. Special thanks to our entire crew here, our producer Ryan Galvin, Andy Goldberg, our director, and the rest of our fabulous crew, Alana Campbell, Ade Ellis, Stefan Florival, Adam Cohen, also Wayne Richardson in the truck, our statistician Russ DeLynn, and our spotter Rich Gaynor. What a difference a couple of weeks make for the Miami Dolphins. Anyone who walked out of the stadium here after that Week 3 loss to the Buffalo Bills, certainly concerned, dejected from what they had seen from this team that had such high expectations before the season. And now Dan Campbell, 60-plus seconds away from getting his team now to 2-0 since he's taken over.
It's going to get real, though. You got teams like Patriots coming up, Cowboys, you've got Jets coming up.
maybe the toughest match and team to prepare for, Solomon, on a short week as they get ready for the Patriots Thursday night.
That's right. You know Belichick will have his guys prepared. So Campbell knows he's got his work cut out for him, but they're going to enjoy the ride.
In the meantime, for the Houston Texans, the obvious emotions from losing a game in this fashion, and then to make it worse, Arian Foster carted off the field with a left Achilles injury in the closing couple of minutes. Ryan Tannehill, 18 of 19, nearly perfect. Didn't throw an incompletion till late in that fourth quarter, as the Miami Dolphins get to 3-3 with a second straight convincing win in as many weeks. The legend of Dan Campbell continues. 44-26. Your final now for Solomon Wilcox, our entire crew. Spiro Ditas saying so long from Miami. You've been watching the NFL on CBS, home of Super Bowl 50. Coming up, the Subway postgame show. We'll send you to JB and the crew in New York.